Yep, it looks like I'm live now. I'm just gonna wait around, see if anybody comes in for the stream to watch it live. If not, the VOD will be available afterwards. Looks like today we're gonna be doing some Age of Empires 3 Wars of Liberty Liga B this time. Yeah, first week of Liga B. Previously we were doing Liga A, which is the more professional crowd. Now we do Liga B, which is the beginner crowd. So we'll get to see some new players for the first time. I mean, I'm sure plenty of these names seem familiar to you. But some of these, you know, should be new to you. At least on the competitive front, yeah. Oh look, we got our first viewer. Welcome, viewer. Stream started about 5 minutes ago, yeah. And I just sent out all the advertisement links to the Discord servers to let them know I was going live. Hopefully we get some more viewers too to watch this set of about 10 matches. Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see quite a few less matches than usual, but in general should be pretty good. Yeah, I think I saw pieces of some of them, but not too much to already know everything, luckily. I feel like for the Liga B folks, it's going to be a lot more of teaching newcoming players what they should do, perhaps, in the future. You know what I mean? When we're dealing with the Liga A people, the biggest thing is these people know what they're doing for the most part, so there's not a lot of critique there. Well, sometimes there's critique, but I feel like with Liga B, you're not going to see super duper really big builds and stuff a lot of the time, and you're mostly going to be critiquing their technique, so maybe they can get themselves up to the level of Liga A for the following event. Yeah. Because I guess this model of Liga A and Liga B's here to stay, at least for the foreseeable future, going forward in the coming years, so we'll see how that works out. And there's a bit of a rule, I guess, that Chorizo put in place. Basically, I think the top 2 scoring players in Liga B will be moved on to Liga A as sort of a reward and a sort of a trophy of their acquisition of skills in Liga B. Because if you're doing really well in Liga B, you should probably be in Liga A, even if you're towards the bottom of the rankings on it, just so you can further your skills in Wars of Liberty to the fullest max possible. Yeah, I see Bebeder was the first viewer of the live stream. He's actually watching it from his television set, which I find pretty cool, That's something I always envisioned, actually, for my channel, was a kind of a lengthy movie-like experience. These really long 10-hour games where you could potentially put it on the TV and stream it somewhere, I like the really long-form uploads. I've never done any shorts, well, at least no shorts, I think I tried like one time to do a short and it just didn't work the way I wanted to, so I just stuck to the long-form stuff. Either gameplays, commentaries, castings, or a combination of the 2 or 3. Maybe I had some other ideas, too, of doing maybe some NPC wars with some AIs and stuff and recording that. I don't know if people would want to hear commentary with that. Yeah, because I feel like the idea of NPC wars and RTS could be an interesting thing to cover with all the different mods, and see how the AIs do against each other in face-to-face battle. We could do that in AoE 3, AoE 2, Portuguese Civ mod. I was planning on doing it for perhaps 0 AD as well, at some point when I start doing that. No guarantees when I'm going to start doing 0 AD stuff, but yeah, definitely should be pretty interesting. Just so you're aware too, I got a food delivery coming at some point. I don't know if it's going to be before I start the games or while I'm doing them, so just stand by and let me take care of that and get the food in. Thankfully, with the lesser amount of matches today, I feel like I might actually be able to eat the food while it's still warm. Yeah, whenever you're doing like a Liga A stream, you're not going to be in for like 6 to 8 hours, Think of like a 9 to 5 job shift. That's basically what it's like to stream Liga A. Liga B, it seems like a much more manageable experience in terms of feeding yourself. So yeah, that should be pretty good. I don't know. Should I have started 10 minutes? Looks like my delivery has arrived, so let me go bring that in, and probably we can start once I know everything's in, okay? Hopefully more people come in before I start the actual casting part. Looks like the food delivery came in pretty easily. Right on time too, just not much different than 10 minutes, so I guess we'll begin now. To do that, I gotta press this recording button here for the VOD portion. I don't think we're gonna need the VOD, but it's good to always do that as a backup, just in case if YouTube decides not to archive it for me. So let's begin the recording phase now in the official proceedings. Welcome everyone. It is Unstoppable Stiletsy, and we're here to kick off the first Age of Empires 3 Wars of Liberty Liga B matches week. So this is week 1 of Liga B. You might be aware that Liga A is going on concurrently, and currently in the phase of week 4. Those matches will be casted when they're made available to me, but this week is dedicated to the first one of Liga B. So people are aware, the difference between Liga A and Liga B is that Liga A is dedicated to more experienced players. Liga B is for more beginner players, or players that are first experiencing the mod altogether. You know, it's totally possible we might have some really strong people in Liga B, but their experience in Wars of Liberty is just beginning, so maybe, you know, they're just learning the tech of it, the techniques, and eventually they'll grow to Liga A very quickly. And also, so everyone is aware, the biggest reward these players have is the 2 top scoring players in Liga B when the season is over will be moved on to Liga A for the next season when that starts. So there is a bit of a trophy and reward for those people in Liga B to really work hard. So, yep, and looks like more people have arrived just in time for the beginning of this, so let's get started with the actual matches. We got about 10 matches to do. Quite a smaller list than the ones for Liga A, so probably won't be starving too much. Let's get started now. Darkus versus Walker, match 1. Yep, volume set. Alright, let's begin. Making sure the OBS is set up as well. Yep, okay, perfect. Alright. So, Darkus is going with the Russian Civ, and Walker is going with the Ottoman Civ. So, all vanilla Civs for this match. This should be a pretty interesting matchup. Ottomans in Wars of Liberty, I would argue, are probably, least, in my opinion, a little bit weaker. That's because they don't actually get veteran and guard upgrades on their units anymore. You know, they just get like 1 Imperial Age upgrade, which improves the units by like, I don't know, like 85 to 90% or something. So it kind of combines the veteran, the guard, and the Imperial all in one at the end to sort of represent their technological decline during the period. To me, I don't really like that too much, just because I feel like it kind of degrades their FF and their FI experience, personally. But they do gain one advantage, though. One advantage is that they actually gain coin from sieging buildings with torches or arrows, not cannons. So if you have like a bunch of janissaries and you're like sieging a house or something, you will actually gain coin and revenue from that. So one nice little piece of it. And they do technically have some more units to work with now, such as the Delhi, which has quite a bit different stats than the Hussar, and it could be argued they deal more damage, you would say, and in turn that leads to them being pretty formidable as the match goes on. So this should be a pretty interesting matchup for them. On the other side, though, you got the Russian Civ. Russian Civ in Wars of Liberty looking a lot stronger, I would say. They have all their usual stuff, like the settler blocks in 3 when you're training them. Of course, the blockhouse and the block training of infantry at the blockhouse, too. But now they have additional stronger options, I would say. Namely, they got actual pikemen now instead of halberdiers, called partisans now. And they can be upgraded to Royal Guard Opolshenets, giving them pretty good stats. That gives them a nice early siege and anti-cav option to go right at the enemy with. They also get a nice assault infantry called the Pastuni, which is a sword-wielding infantry that has hand armor, since it's assault, but being very vulnerable to dragoons as a result, since, you know, dragoons counter assault cavalry. And yeah, pretty much. And even their line infantry, aka the musketeers, have a royal guard upgrade now as well, so they have an additional 10% HP and attack more than they did in the Asian dynasties, which should make them more powerful. Now, deck-wise with the Russians, we see distributivism coming out first. That's good. Darkus knows what he's doing. He has also put together a pretty decent deck. I'm definitely not disappointed in this deck at all. You got enough crate shipments in there. You got some Cantonists. These are basically just unstoppable Strelitzes, but more modernized to something else. Cossacks. We got the H2 foot artillery shipment. That's Falconets. Fort Wagon. Basic economic upgrades here. Blockhouse Cannon. Now, this is an interesting one. I've seen some people really like this card, but for me, I don't really like it anymore. When I was like really young and playing the Asian dynasties for the first time, I thought, oh wow, it's so cool that you can build falconets and mortars on the front lines with your blockhouse. But now that I sort of get the meta down a little bit better now, I'm like, nah, not really. I'll just build an artillery foundry if I want cannons. I'm not going to stress out too much about making them from my barracks. Whatever. Yeah, the only two things that I probably would question a little bit is the resource crates in Age 4. You know, I feel like you would be much better off, I think, with like having some wood, like 700 wood and 700 food in Age 2. That's typically what I prefer a lot more with the Russians. Even the Plastuni shipment could be another nice alternative. The option of going with the Nuka infinite shipment here is also a pretty interesting one. It's not a bad one, but you do need to assess the weight of if you're ever going to actually use it within a match, you know. It's very expensive, 2k coin. I don't think in every situation you're actually going to be able to afford that during the match, but if you can get it, really good. You know, it doesn't cost any pop, it's a decent pike unit. Just throw them at your enemy and you should do pretty well with that. So wage up wise, they're going up with the Arzan, 400 wood, same as the Core Master. Whereas the Ottomans, surprise surprise, also go in Core Master / Arzans for 400 wood. This should give both players a good starting hand in terms of planning out their attack. With 400 wood you can do quite a bit of stuff, you know, you can build 2 barracks, you can build a stable in a barracks, you can build a foundry in a house, quite a few things. And of course that doesn't stop you from chopping wood during your Age 2 transition as well, which I recommend all players do. I definitely like the fact that Ottomans did a bit of wood chopping there, so they're definitely not in too bad shape either. How about Darkus though? Darkus looks like he did a bit of mining actually, which should be kind of interesting. Now I feel like this is really good if you want to go with line infantry since they cost coin. If you wanted to go Opal Senate or Cantonist at the start, you probably wouldn't need that coin, so I think we can already say for sure that they're going with line infantry. Are they going to actually ship those Cossacks? No, unfortunately not. The Cossack shipment arrived way too quickly to drop off at this blockhouse down here. Yeah, whenever I try to ship cavalry and I know I'm going with like a blockhouse, I try to do a bit of a timing attack sort of thing where I know the shipments can be assigned right to the blockhouse. It saves on a lot of travel distance time and it makes it less likely for the opponent to know that I have the cavalry on the field until, you know, they're going beep 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 beep. Your villagers are getting stabbed in the head by a lance. Beep beep beep. Yeah, that's when you want them to find out about the Cossacks, not when they're, you know, in the middle of the trade route and then they can prepare themselves. You want them to be caught off guard. You want it to be a surprise factor, because when they're surprised, they're in trouble. This is kind of fascinating. So, from the looks of it, we see Darkus going all the way down here for a forward base, and we see Walker doing the same thing with his stable up here. I don't know how I feel about this when you're doing combat. Yeah, it might sound appealing because you're right on the front lines, but at the same time it's going to make it hard for both players to defend themselves properly because all their production is away from the base. I think in general though it's going to benefit the Russians a lot more. You know why? because they got partisans. They can actually siege their way through the Ottoman base really easily. If you're building a stable up here as Ottomans, even once you get back home to defend yourself, there's really not a lot you can do with these delis. You know, these delis are really deep trouble. You know, really deep trouble overall. Yeah. And honestly, the fact that they're mixing in line infantry and cantonists as well, the Russians, makes me think, yeah, these Ottomans are in deep trouble. I think they made a real mistake going stable right now. I suggest, Ottomans, you should have gone barracks, double barracks Janissary, or you win barracks, one artillery foundry with Abbas and Janissary. That could have been reasonable. I feel like now that you're just going with delis, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to those line infantry and those partisans, which are going to eat through your army. Yeah, though, Darkus isn't... Yeah, he caught it a little bit too late because he did lose a settler. It's alright, though. I think, honestly, for Darkus, he's going to be the one that ended up coming on top here, mainly because you only have 5 cav on the field, and they're all the way over here. They're not really doing anything useful. And I don't think, let's see if Walker has a response. Cav archers? They will help against the queue of Plastunis that he made, because that is a maneuver unit versus an assault, but against everything else, no, that's really not good. You know, I remember the old days when people used to go all cav archer with the Ottomans in Age 2, and they could get out a lot of them and use them as like a kiting tool, and really mass them up, but I don't see Walker really doing that here. You're going to need like at least like 10, 20, 30 cav archers to justify going with them at this stage in the game. I just don't see that. You've got 5 delis, which are vulnerable to pikemen, and now you got 2 cav archers, which are just going to get shredded by the cantonists. That is a horrible composition. You know, I much prefer what Darkus is doing here by going straight for the town center with a variety of lots of units, you know, line infantry, cantonists, Cossacks, Tarzans, and Plastui. He's really making everything, which in a sense, you know, protects him from any possible counter in those numbers, right? And especially concerned the fact that he already has enough anti-cav means that these cav are now generally useless on the battlefield. Yeah, I think this is an easy win for Darkus, you know, even without a fight, really. I mean, what are we going to see? Are we going to see these 7 cav magically swinging around and fighting this off? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. This is why going single stable Ottomans is a risky move. It's gotta be something you're really comfortable doing, and I feel like at the Liga B stage, you should not be going cav archer start. You should be going double barracks Janissary or Janissary Abbas. Those are your 2 really solid options. Going stable will surely get you killed like this. Like, there's nothing that these can do, because as soon as they go near the town center, villagers just jump in the town center and start shooting at them. That's a total waste. Yeah, he has the resources, but he's literally floating them because he has nothing to do with them now. He doesn't have enough wood to house his units. He doesn't have enough wood to get an Abbas gunner queue going out of a foundry. He's actually dead because he didn't make the right unit comp. Also, if you don't think you're going to get a quick attack in there and really put fear in your opponent, I would not put my stable all the way up here. I would have kept it at home to defend myself first, because I know I am dealing with the Russians. You need to assess, based on the civs that you're facing against, what they're probably going to do. If I know I'm going to be dealing with Russians, an attack is almost guaranteed. So should I be trying to do the same thing to them? No, you should be having your stable at home to defend against their obvious attack. Because, let's be honest, nobody can outrush the Russians. They're called the Russians. They literally have Rush in their name. They can get infantry really quick out onto the field. They got 1-pop cavalry shipments to combine with that. You just can't win on that in an equal aggro attempt. You know, they're always going to beat you to the chase, and by the time you're in their base, they're already in your base taking out your houses. Yeah, simple as that. You know, whenever you're dealing with the Russians, try to defend yourself first. Once you defend yourself, once you drain them of their resource count a little bit, maybe then try some raiding maneuvers. But don't do that right at the start of the match against them. Heck, I don't even think going aggro is really that beneficial against the Russians. You know why? They can put blockhouses in their base for their defense, and those are just going to eat up your infantry. So, unless you got a really, really, really quick, massable aggro civ, like maybe Tupi, you should not be playing that aggressive forward building game against the Russians. At least not at this stage. Maybe if you can get your macro down really quick, and you're dealing with the low-level Russian that you know isn't going to be able to keep up with you, maybe. And those do exist, but in general, it's better to defend against Russians first and then make a move after that. Because see this right here, even this, like, 6 pikemen is enough to even kill the cav archers with their hand armor, so they're actually Are these cav even going to get 1 kill? Well, they're going to get 1, and yeah, absolutely useless. These cav are. Janissary, Abyss Gunner, or Double Barracks Janissary. That's got to be your new sort of game plan, Walker, when you're going into these things as the Ottomans. I'm just saying that right now to you, because what I saw there could have easily been avoided. And look at this right here. Look at the resource count. This is enough to go to Capital Age. You know how you could have had like 10 Abyss guns? You could have had 5 Janissaries. You could have shipped these ones and have 10 Janissaries, 10 Abyss gunners with all these resources. Not to mention the resources you put into the cav, so you probably could have had a full army to deal with the Russians. And you probably would have beaten them too, because arm and infantry in Age 2, they're solid. They don't get worn down in Age 2. It's Age 3 and 4 without the upgrades that they get worn down. So you definitely should have gotten that Janissary and Abyss mass up and literally crushed the Russians when they got into your base. And you would have been on top. You would have went to their blockhouse and then you would have hunted them in their base and it would have been over with. Would have been bada bing bada boom. You would have been done. Would have been 100% done. Simple as that. So now we're going to move on to their match number 2 now. Yeah, I have a feeling these Liga B games are going to be really short if this is the type of stuff we're going to get today, you know? It's going to be a lot of me teaching people how to do basic build stuff, and that's totally fine, you know? That's what this casting is for. Not only is it to entertain, it's to inform. It's to educate, you know? If you're trying to learn Wars of Liberty, trying to learn AoE 3 in general, I can give you some good pointers on how to do that. And I think seeing your recorded games here is a perfect way of doing that. So we'll see if there's any improvement from Walker in this one. Unless, of course, they forgot to record Game 3. I'm going to assume the same thing's going to happen here, but a bit different. But we'll see. It's better to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, see if they can improve in something, whatnot. So, this time Darkus... Oh, come on, man. I really wanted to see that one, you know. It's not every day we see the Inca. It's not every day we see the Inca. See, this is already going off to a great day. I guess we're going to have to go to the next series then, you know. Can't look at that. Yeah, so now we're going to be moving on to the next encounter. Let me see who that is. It would be Gafas versus Shakan Khan. This should be a pretty interesting one, you know. I know Shakan and I know Gafas. They got some pretty good skills compared to our last combatants, so I'm pretty sure they're going to put on a better show for us here. We'll see. We'll see what they can do. So, Gafas is going with the Maori. A pretty fun civ. And then Shakan is going up with Central America. Another pretty fun civ. So, for all those that are watching, I'll go over a bit of these civs and how they work. So, Central America, you know. They're like the most anti-environmental civ you could ever think of, you know. I say that because they're really good at eating through natural resources, you know. Their villagers, the Holneros here, actually can extract even more resources from an animal or tree or mine than a standard villager can. And then their friend here, the Caletero, this little settler wagon looking Juanito here, basically boosts the gather rate from the natural resources with these Holnaros around him. So he's like a big booster for him. And as a result, this civ is really good at hunting, they're great at berry gathering, they're great at mining, and they're good at wood chopping. So as long as you got natural resources around you, you're good. And guess what? Even if you don't have natural resources around you, these Caroteros can also construct trees, banana bushes, which are berry bushes, and bananas themselves are berries. Did you know that? Like, they're actual berry fruit. Like, factually. And, they can also build rock mines as well. Wait a minute, no, not even rock, they can build gold mines. Yeah. 5k coin containing, gold mines. Yeah. So, basically, even once you run out of these natural resources around your base, as the Central Americans, they can use the Carotero to construct additional mines, additional berries, additional trees. So they can really never run out of resources if they're playing carefully. As for the opponent here, the Maori being the only Polynesian civ in the mod right now, plays pretty radically, you know. They start out in these fortified town centers called PAs. And basically how the PA works is, not only does it train villagers, it has other functionalities. It doubles as like a fortress in that it has a really strong range attack that can be upgraded as well as its hit points. It also can trickle food through technologies. It can improve the population that it can house as well through technologies. And it can train infantry. The 3 infantry units, the marksman, the fighter, and the spearman. So these PAs are really, really strong buildings. And while we're here, why don't we check out the Maori deck and sort of try to predict what Gavas is trying to plan here. So, from the looks of it, I think we're either going to see an all-in Age 2 play, or we're going to see a fast fortress of some kind. Namely because we see these very powerful 2 shipment cards here. Note that that little ship icon, that little boat icon means 2 shipments, basically. Yeah, and pretty much the way these sort of double shipment cards work is they're supposed to be really greedy. Really greedy, because instead of spending 1 shipment at a time, you're literally saving up 2 shipments to get a stronger effect. Because remember, a typical wood shipment in Age 2 is at max 700 wood, right? And a typical villager shipment is typically 5 villagers, right? So consider you're getting 2 cards worth of stuff, plus one additional villain, plus 100 additional crate resource. So it's sort of like a buy 2, get 1 point something free. So it's really good. And one thing I should know too about the Maori while it's happening is Maori do not age up normally. They use these things called voyages. And the way voyages work is you can either pick short voyages like this one to the South Island. Yep, to the South Island in New Zealand where they live. Or you can pick a really long one like down to Fiji, to South Africa, somewhere really far away on the ocean. And the rule is, the cheaper a voyage is, the quicker it occurs, but the less reward you get from it. If you go for a super duper long range voyage, you're going to get lots of rewards, like even more benefits than a normal age up will give you. And shipments potentially, yeah. So the fact that Gavas went with the shortest voyage to the South Island of New Zealand means he didn't get any benefits at all from it besides aging up super quickly. Basically like the Exiled Prince, but cheaper. So, basically whenever you see a South Island age up for the Maori, that usually means fast fortress. They're trying to save on the resource count initially so that they can quickly work to get the resources they need for the capital age research. So we'll see if that's what they plan on doing. I'm not too sure at the moment. We do see a market coming up, and we do see the stone adzes upgrade. This is a wood chopping upgrade. And just so you're aware, the way the Maori's age ups works is instead of coin, their age ups cost food and wood. So that's why sometimes you'll see a lot of villagers on wood with the Maoris, just because they're trying to age up for that wood. And also, that tells you if you do see Maori villages on coin, that's not them trying to go for a fast fortress, that's them actually trying to do some military. And do we see... No, we do not see the population increase card in Age 2, so it's a bit questionable what's going to go on here. We do see Giffard shipping in the marksmen, about 7 of them. These are basically slingers, and they have stats of that of crossbowmen / skirmishers, so consider them a skirmish unit. Good against heavy infantry, good against light cav or maneuver. As for the opponent though, the opponent has decided to age up with the Scandinavian immigrants. Latin Americans, like the Central Americans, do not age up with politicians either. They age up with immigrant colonies. And the first time you go with that immigrant colony, they give you a wagon to build their colony with. And from the Scandinavian colony, you can do a number of things. You can research technologies. Every age up, you gain additional 2 technologies from the colony you select, which is pretty good. You can train immigrant workers from there that have one specialty and generally gather worse at everything else. And on top of that, you can even make battalions of military units too. For the Scandinavians, they only have something called the Ski Trooper, which they only get in Age 3, so we're not going to be seeing any of those units in this age. But it's still good to know that at least they're going to get some technologies out of this and potentially be able to benefit from their villagers. In the case of the Scandinavians, their villagers from the colony are considered treasure hunters, so they get multipliers against treasure guardians. And as an added bonus, the houses that they can construct, the Scandinavian houses, basically immigrants can construct their own houses instead of the generic ones. The Scandinavian houses produce treasures when they're built. So they'll have like 2 or 3 treasures with treasure guardians spawn up around the house, and then you can use the Scandinavian settlers to shoot those things down and take the treasures to benefit yourself with. So it works out really good in the end. Now, we do see Central America going up with Costa Rica. And you might be asking yourself, isn't this Central America? Why am I Costa Rica now? Yeah, we see the Costa Rican flag here as well. Basically, the Central American Union in Wars of Liberty consists of 6 civilizations. You got Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, and Los Altos and El Salvador. And depending on which roster you select, you'll get access to a different set of infantry and cavalry, and one of those units will always be a Royal Guard unit. But the thing is, that might not always benefit you for long, so you can decide to rejoin the Union. So again, you can select another nation, right? If you don't want to be Costa Rica anymore, you can rejoin the Union and become Guatemala, or Honduras, or El Salvador. And mainly the great benefit of that, at least for late game, is you can gain additional Royal Guard upgrades, right? With a total of 6 total Royal Guard upgrades, in fact. So triple that of normal European and Latin American civs, which works out really good for you. So right now we see a couple of Macheteros as well as some Lanceros from the Central Americans. These are 2 cavalry units or shock units. The Lancero is considered a scout unit, so similar to a Hussar, whereas the Machetero is a assault unit, similar to that of a Cuirassar, so basically heavy cav. The biggest difference is ranged cavalry like dragoons will deal range multipliers against these, but not against these. But the dragoon and melee will deal multipliers against both of these. Yeah, it's a bit strange, but I guess the whole idea was to make a distinction between light hand cavalry and heavy hand cavalry. You know, sort of like the knight versus the hussar and light cav from AoE 2. Just to add a bit of complexity in there. And add some sophistication. And right now, we're going to have to see if these Maori can perform a successful assault on the enemy. Right now, they seem to have a mass of spearmen, fighters, and marksmen, so all 3 of their infantry units. The marksman being the skirmisher, the spearman, well, being the spearman, not much more said there, and the fighter, well, being a shock unit, a cavalry unit. Unlike the Machitero, the fighter is actually scout, so more close to the Lancero, which does give them the immunity from dragoons at range, but not from hand. So yeah, these fighters can get pretty strong. And also later on, once you reach Capital Age, you get 2 upgrade paths for Maori units. You can either go one path to give them one property, or go the other path to give them another property. And pretty much that means really the Maori have 6 base infantry units, you know. You can either go up with the Tupara marksman, which will give them like a shotgun and a short range shotgun attack once enemies reach within a certain range. Or they can become the Porokumu marksman, which gain a longer range. So yeah, you can become different units based on the upgrades you do, which is really neat. And something you should definitely pay attention to when you're playing as them. Now I think here the Maori have a pretty good mass going for them, but we'll see how Central America responds to this. I definitely don't like the lack of military from Central America though. That has me a little bit worried. A little bit fearful for them. I'm like, man, I'm a little worried for you. I don't see a lot of army that... Yeah, see that right there? Lily denied the stable. I do like the fact that they got some conscriptos though. That's going to be a little helpful. But unfortunately you don't have anything to deal with the marksman effectively. Right, because you only had a couple of shock units from your shipment. Is that right? 2 Machitero and 2 Lancero. Yeah, so that basically fell pretty easily. Now, your conscripts basically die pretty easily. Pretty quickly. Also like the fact how Gafasa had in some redcoats as well. That was a pretty good option. Yeah, and also another part of Central America I should probably mention too. Their unit shipments arrive in 2s, right? So they get 2 units instead of 1. So think of like, you know, how the Chinese have like bear armies of 2 units from their war academy. That's basically the way the Central American military unit cards work, right? They get 2 units instead of 1. Leads to a pretty interesting results overall. What isn't interesting though is still continuing to make conscriptos when you know there's still that many marksmen still on the field from the Maori. That's just not good at all. As a result of that, I feel like Central America is definitely out of the count right now. Yeah, these slingers are just way too powerful for those musketeer units to deal with. And additional, we're going to see another shipment of Pardos and Escopeteros, a bit of skirmish, a bit of polearm. And what's Maori doing? So Maori's actually going to get a bank wagon with the Bank of Eaturia. So that should give them a bit of a coin trick. Oh wow, they're also going with the voyage too. Where are they going on a voyage too? Are they going to Van Diemen Island? I think. No, they're going to New South Wales in Australia. They're going down under now. That's definitely going to help them out quite a bit. If I recall, that gives you some food. I think it gives you some natural resources as well. I don't... Does it give you a shipment? I think it gives you a shipment. 1 shipment. And that's sort of the way to justify those 2 shipment cards for Maori is the fact that you try to go for voyages that grant you free shipment, so then you can actually get them, right? Because otherwise it looks kind of daunting to get them. And like, yeah, I really want to wait 2 shipments to get crates and villagers, right? But if you can get a free shipment in there, now it looks pretty intelligent, right? And that's sort of the way you're supposed to play the Maori. Well, it looks like the Maori are being played really well. I can't say the same for Central America. The lack of military output here is really shocking and very dangerous for them. You know, they really should have already had like double the units they do now with that amount of resources they got, and now they're just getting forced down onto 1 queue, which is making them totally undefensible now. You know, they can't defend this any longer. Honestly, when you're playing Latin Americans, man, I would start out with Escopeteros, start out with the skirmish unit, because they're pretty cheap and massable, and then add in some anti-cav, you know, either conscripts or pardos. That's at least what I like to do. But definitely get 2 queues of barracks going instead of 1, or get your stable up sooner and get that working. You know, I saw you wanted to go for a stable, but you literally let them burn it down. So you weren't building quick enough for your opponent. You know, it all comes down to speed sometimes. How quickly can you set up? And I feel like Maori's set up perfectly in this matchup, and Central America was super slow and fragile, granting Maori the early pressure they needed to take the lead. And I don't think you can take back the lead now with Central America. You know, Maori already got everything they really need. And what are they going to get with these 2 shipments? They could totally go for this one and have 8 villagers and 1.2k food going for them. So this is really not good for you. This is really deadly for you. And I don't think you can fend against this now. I don't think you can. Not to mention they got unit shipments. They can buff up some of their upgraded units here. Are we going to see any sort of upgrading from the barracks building, the training grounds? Yes, we are. We're going to see the fighters become melee fighters. Whoa, wait a second. I don't see you have the advanced melee fighters card in your deck, but you're just going melee? That's a bit odd. I'm not going to lie, that's usually not recommended to do that. Only go up with the fighter, the unit upgrade that you have the advanced one of in your deck. Good rule of thumb, because now they're going to be a bit weaker than they could have been. Yep, now they've been upgraded to melee fighters, which grants them higher attack. If they went with the Hawera fighter, which their deck has the advanced card for, that would have granted them splash instead of higher attack. So basically they become more like glass cannon sword units, dishing out a lot of damage against one unit versus multiple units. But we'll see here how effective these melee fighters truly are in this situation. Also, we see the Tehedawa Spearmen. So these Spearmen gain Splash over range. Because if you go with the Tau Spearmen upgrade, they'll get range instead of Splash. So the fact that you went with the Tehedawa basically grants you access to the Splash ability. Also, we see the Marksman becoming Porokuma Marksman. See, this is the thing that has me concerned, with the exception of the Tehedawa. You have all the opposite advanced upgrades in your deck from the ones you actually went with. You got Hawera instead of Melee. You got Tupara instead of Porokuma, and that's just making your units a bit weaker. If it were to get to late game. I don't think you have to go late game here because you're handling the fighting pretty well. Just something to keep in mind when you're dealing with a real opponent who's going to be fighting you constantly, not like this stuff here. Just make sure that you're matching your advanced upgrade cards in your deck with the upgrades you're actually going to make in game. Leads to a better experience overall. Yeah, definitely. Because now, if you tried to send those cards, it wouldn't do anything. Right, the only one that you have correct is the Tehedawa Spearman. And that's because I don't even think they even have an advanced card for the Tau Spearman yet. Because the Tau Spearman used to be something called the Tehei Spearman or something. And then that unit ended up getting moved somewhere, and yeah, it's a bit complicated. Yeah, I definitely think that these units here are going to have a pretty easy time working their way through the Central American base at this point. What's that? Oh, more Maori fighters. That's even better. Yeah, I think Maori took this pretty easily, just because Central America is not macroing properly. It's almost like they're not macroing at all. So, yeah, good work catching your opponent off guard when they're not doing much. You know, that's sort of what you always hope for in like a competitive match, that your opponent just isn't there and not doing anything, you know. Then they decide to go Lancero when they know there's a bunch of Tehedawa Spearmen there, which is like, you know, come on, man. Are you better than that? Yeah. Only way I could have seen Central America coming back is that they went full Escopetero on them. Even then it's going to be a bit dicey because of the Melee fighters, but still, that probably was your only shot out of this thing. Yeah, just gradually going to get sieged down and grinded down by Maori, and it's going to be a defeat. Oh yeah, GG. GG. Good work, Maori there. The Maori did really well. I was definitely impressed with the Maori performance. Central America needs to get their act together, though. Definitely, 100%. And now I'm going to load into the next match over here. Okay. Let's load in. Well, we're in game number 4 of 10, so almost halfway there. Yeah. Sometimes that happens, you know. Sometimes your games go by super duper quickly, you know. That's okay. Because that means we can eat on time. Yeah, but I just wish we had more games, though, honestly. You know, the more games you can do in a day, the better. But I think, well, 9, because this one I was synced, remember. So we're going to get 9, unless more I was synced. Now we're on game number 2 of Chakan versus Kafas. This one will be on Hudson Bay. Unless, of course, somebody forgot to record it again. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, though. Alright, so we got Kafas with the Koreans, and we got Shakan Khan with the Dutch. This should be a pretty interesting matchup, right? Koreans, you might be wondering, oh wow, they got the Koreans in this mod. Yeah, they do. And they're actually a pretty strong civ. They got a lot of power in booming, and they got a lot of power in, like, military. Not only do they have a pretty diverse military roster that can do a lot of stuff, but their military has the added bonus of being able to garrison inside buildings. Yeah. You can actually take your archers, garrison them inside the house, and pull them out of the house to harass your opponents with. It's really cool. You know, when your opponent's AI ends up getting confused and starts trying to torch the building while the archers are shooting them. It's a really nice trick. So we'll see if Kafas uses that a lot here. Also, their wonders are really powerful too. A lot of economic potential as well as some military applications as well. As for the opponent here, the Dutch, these might look like your everyday Dutch, but they are not the Dutch that you grew up with. And they're not your grandma and grandpa's Dutch, you know. These Dutch, they don't have banks, so pretty poor. But that's until you realize what their true civ structure is now. See, I call them sort of like the Trinity civ now, because they work in like threes, right? They got like 3 things going on at the same time. The three regions of the world that controls their bonuses. So you get 3 different villagers, right? You get the settler. The Dutch settler actually gets a 10% improvement from berry bush gathering and mill gathering. They also get a villager, the Javanese laborer, which is better at chopping wood from Indonesia, right? And then they get the slave. The slave is better at mining and plantation gathering. So that's sort of like the Trinity, you know? You got the African side that's coin focused, you got the Indonesian one which is wood focused, and then you get the Dutch one, European one that's on food. And that's the way their ultimate units work as well. Dutch actually get access to 3 different ultimate units, one from each of those respective regions, and surprise, surprise, they only cost 1 resource, right? So the Dutch ultimate unit, the Wasmeester, food only unit, the Machazi, Indonesian, wood only unit, and then the African one, the Zwart Hollander, a coin only unit. And that's sort of the way you gotta keep that in mind. Now, one thing you definitely see with the Dutch Star, which I'm not seeing here, is the attempt to save some of the food by queuing up slaves instead. See, the slaves for Dutch only cost about 70 coins, so instead of training settlers, what you could do, queue up 2 slaves. So you can save that 100 or so food, even 200 food, and age up quicker. Yeah. Pretty cool aspect. And also, too, what you can do a lot of the time is you can focus all your food and coin on military and just queue up the Indonesian villagers for wood. That's assuming you send in your 700 wood and you got enough houses. I've done that before, and it's pretty solid. You know, let's see how good Shotgun Khan can do with that sort of three villager dynamic here. So they're going to be aging up with the governor. Hello, governor. So they're actually going to get access to some coin and a outpost wagon, so a tower, which is going to help a bit with the defense. And from what we can see right here, 2 slaves, 2 Indonesian. Right now, Shotgun is just sticking with the settlers, which, I don't know. The thing is, you don't have any berry bushes here, so these settlers are just like your average Joe settlers. They're not really gathering better at anything. I kind of like to get the settlers later when I know the mills are coming up, or when I got some berries to gather from, just because I know the gather rate is better at those. I'd much rather have some slaves that I know are going to do better with the mining. Also, man, manage your villages better. If you want to do mining, you should have the slave doing the mining, not the settler. The slave will do 10% additional mining rate. Likewise, you gotta have the Javanese on the trees, not the settler. Use that little tip of mine and I'll guarantee you're gonna get more resource output with the Civ. Guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. Wait a second. What? 300 wood? Why? ¿Por qué, Juanito? Why not wait to get 700 wood? Why are you getting 300 wood? Now you're not going to be able to get 700 wood on time, and that's going to be really, really bad. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. So wait a second. So the governor gives you a... Oh yeah, that's right. The Dutch governor gives you a covered agricultural wagon, which you can make into a mill or a plantation. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty helpful. So yeah, in general though, we're gonna have to look to see what the Koreans do here. So Koreans, from the looks of it, they're going barracks aggression, and from what I see, they're gonna be going with looks to be either spearmen or archers. They are getting the 700 wood though, so they're going to be able to keep up with their queue pretty nicely. Whereas the poor Dutch over here took the bait for the 300 wood, and therefore they're going to be behind in production. Well, they got enough wood for a barracks, but do they have enough for anything else? Well, the answer is no. They're only going to be able to get one house, it looks like. And after that, they're going to have trouble keeping up with their population. Well, definitely concerned the fact that they're queuing up so many villagers in tandem here. We got like 1 slave coming out and a bunch of settlers. Do we have any of the wood villagers? Again, get this settler off. Put them on the mill or something, and then put the Javanese on the wood. They get 10% better gathering from them. You gotta manage this stuff, you know. You gotta manage this stuff well. So we see a flank war shipment coming in for Dutch. Grenadiers queuing in as well. Flank wars, these musket units, they have a pretty interesting property to them. So they are a hybrid between a skirmisher and a musketeer. They're heavy infantry because they have a bayonet attack that makes them better against cav. But they're skirmisher because they have a ranged attack that's above the standard ranged attack of heavy infantry that has a multiplier against light cav or maneuver units. So, a bit like a crossbowman, a bit like a musketeer all in one. And they have a fast movement speed of 4.5, which is not typical for infantry. So they can be pretty good at kiting. Not to mention they actually get a card, which, let's see if they have it. They don't. They actually get a card for age 2 that improves their movement speed up to 5, which is really fast. They're going to be paired with the Grenadier, which is a very special, usually anti-infantry unit, but they can be used against artillery and cavalry as well in some situations. The way the Grenadiers work in Wars of Liberty is they are a one-pop barracks unit that does a charge grenade attack. You know, they don't throw grenades constantly. That would be a bombardier. These Grenadiers act like actual infantry, throw their grenade, and then they engage in musket combat. And keep in mind, their grenades are pretty powerful this time around. They don't actually suffer from any malice with their grenades, so they deal full damage to cav. They also get a slight multiplier against infantry, too, with their grenade throws. So if you can manage the grenade tosses really well, you will be able to turn battles in your favor pretty easily. Yeah, pretty much. Now we see a shipment of the Javanese villagers coming in. They're better against wood. Let's see if they're used properly, though. Because I see this Chuck and Khan fella is not managing the villager bonuses really well. He's taking some of them and sticking them on the mine. He's putting some of them on the wood, which is correct. And then he's taking them to put them on the hunt. Not optimized. You're not optimizing your bonus, and that's making you suffer in your resource count, man. So definitely get better at that when you're Dutch. You know, so you can get the most resources that you possibly need for the battles. Korea, on the other hand, they're going with, looks like they got some spearmen out. Did they ship any of these in? Yeah, they shipped the spearmen in and they shipped the archers in. So, mostly shipping units here. Oh, wait a minute, no, it looks like they trained the spearmen and now they're shipping in more spearmen. Alright. In general, though, it looks like they're going for a fast fortress age here. And they're going to be getting another wonder real soon. That's what the food and coin numbers look like. So what would that be exactly? Would that be the... Because I see the Haseong Fortress up right now, so would that probably be the Grand Palace or something? We'll see, though. We'll see what they go with. What the Haseong Fortress does is, it's basically, you know, a giant mountain castle. It's got, like, the stats of a fort. Or, yeah, like a mini fort. And it can also train artillery as well. And also, like a mountain castle, it does benefit from the upgrades of the castle. You know, they don't get their own technologies. They simply get an upgrade alongside the techs you do for the castle tower that the Asians can do. And right now, they're going to be aging up with the Pyongyang Gate. This is a pretty good aggressive wonder. What the Pyongyang Gate does, it grants you access to being able to spawn some very special raiding units, I would call them, on the map to attack your opponent in areas they're not prepared for. And basically these units are something called Righteous Fighters. And Righteous Fighters are essentially a scout unit, so like similar to, again, to a Hussar, those fighters for the Maori we saw before, making them a bit more immune to dragoons, and they makes them pretty fast as well against villagers. So what you might see here now is, once this Pyongyang Gate is completed, you might see some Righteous Fighters spawn into the middle of the fight to flank the Grenadiers and give them some trouble. Yep, and you would use this right here to do it. Yeah, you could just pop it right here and they'll spawn, I think, like 5 or 6 of them or something, and they'll disrupt the enemy. Let's see where he decides to place them, though. That can make a big difference. Yep, and these are some of the Righteous Fighters right now that came with the age up. As you can see, you know, basically, yeah, just like a Hussar. Like a mini Hussar with low HP. Let's see how these things turn out in this battle. I think as long as the fighters focus on the Grenadiers, that's going to favor the Koreans pretty well here. Oh! Hwachas, that's pretty good. That's an artillery unit. I think if you get those going, I think this army of flankers and grenadiers doesn't have a lot that they can do against that. At least if the grenadiers don't go forward. See, grenadiers... Oh no! You did it! You actually did... No! You weren't supposed to do that, Dutch! Oh no, you just wasted your grenade toss. Now you have to wait an additional 60 seconds for the charged grenade attack to come back. Well, at least he's retreating. That's good. That's good. Because if you wanted to fight after that, you would be dead, man. Wait, what is this? What do you think of us as some sort of AI or something? Is this like an insult to injury? This is what you do against bots. You put up a bunch of wall parts, and the AI goes after the little wall pieces and ignores your army. Come on, you can't expect Gavos to be that bot-like, right? Hello? You're not facing against the AI, man. Well, why are you doing this? What is this? I'm not an AI. You know, Gavos isn't an AI. You're fighting humans. You're fighting fleshy animals, man. You're not facing metallic robot droids. You don't build these types of walls against that. What Gavos is going to do is he's going to say, hey, look at all the little wall pieces over there. Does he think I'm an AI? I'm just going to walk by those and go right for his town center. If you're going to build walls, build actual walls, man. Don't do this AI stuff. It's not going to work. It's not going to do anything at all. So, Shotgun is going double barracks and a stable now. Going up to capital age with the Cornet. The Cornet will grant you some hussars, so you'll get a bit of scout units yourself for your army. That should do pretty well against the archers and the Hwachas of the Koreans, assuming they don't add any additional units. Any consulate? Yep, here's the consulate, good. Yeah, always make sure you build your consulate as an Asian civ. At this stage in the game, you should be able to get out one battalion of units right away. As well as get the bonus of your ally, too. I'm going to be watching pretty closely now to see what sort of ally the Koreans go with here. They're all pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Korea gets a pretty good set of options. And I think really they have a lot of flexibility here in what they want to go with, honestly. I don't have any particular ones in mind. Oh, they're going to go up with the United States. They're going to go with the gringos. Los gringos. That should be pretty good. So they're going to probably send out some Marines, I think. Yep, a batch of Marines. And those Marine infantry will have multipliers against siege units and artillery. So if Dutch, for whatever reason, goes foot artillery or something, Korea's going to be really prepared for it. Or they could decide to be greedy and wait for 800 export and go get some mounted riflemen and Marines as well. A bit of maneuver unit in there. I mean, honestly, in this predicament, I wouldn't go with United States. I would rather go Chinese and get the Chukonu. But considering, you know, what just happened with the grenade throw, I think you're going to be fine with going with Marines. Oh, wait a second. Since Grenadiers have the Siege Trooper tag, right, the Siege Unit tag, that means the Marines actually have multipliers against them. So, yeah, that's actually a really good decision. Most favored nation, that gives it converts your wood into exports, and now Gavos was able to get the American Expeditionary Force of both mounted rifles and of the Marines, now called Leathernecks. So they're going to get a bit of maneuver and some anti-grenadier units here too, so that should be really good. I think these grenadiers are going to have a real problem now that they're going to be dealing with the Marine infantry. And not to mention, Gavos should be able to afford another batch of Leathernecks as well right after these too. Let's see if Shakan also goes with any upgrades here as well. Any upgrades on the Grens or Flankers or Hussars? Yeah, I don't know what Shotgun is doing at this point. I would honestly stop making the Flankers at this point. Well, I mean, he is going mounted rifles from the consulate, so I mean, they are going to have a bit of a use there. And they should be able to fend off the righteous fighters as well. Going after the trading posts I see with the Hussars. Not bad. Not bad at all. May as well try to take it out, I guess, you know. I'd probably go after it with some sort of, like, infantry mass, but considering you don't get pikemen as this civ, probably not a bad pick, honestly. Again, with the AI walls, really? This man is not a bot. He's a Juanito Bonito. He's not a robot. Don't put robot walls up. He's not going to fall for it. If he does, then he's a Juanito bot, a taco bot. and that wouldn't be good. You know, I'd turn into a robot that makes tacos, and we don't want that. I came across your channel while searching for AOM mods. Oh, nice, Nimo Noom. It's good to see you here, man. Hey, boss. Yeah, I guess everyone likes seeing this Korean play. That's cool. You know, I honestly like the Koreans. They're one of my favorite civs in Wars of Liberty. I really like them, you know. The thing I like about the Koreans is they got a lot of that old stuff from AoE 2 as well. They can actually build the turtle ships in this game, too, as their siege ship. And then I think eventually when they go around to doing the Asian rework, they'll also be able to make war wagons potentially as well from one of their wonders, as like their ultimate unit. So if you like AoE 2 Koreans, you're definitely going to love this civ a lot. I got a lot going for them. I see they've loaded them up inside of the what's this ship called? Like, I forget what this ship is called. Basically, the way Korean ships work is, the more military buildings an enemy makes, the more improved stats of one kind or another their ships will get. So in the case of these light ships, the more barracks and stables and foundries Shaken makes, the faster these boats will move. And for their heavy ship, I think it benefits their attack, and then for their siege ship, it benefits their hit points or something. So yeah, when you're going up against Koreans, try not to build as much production buildings just to make sure they don't gain too many stats from it. Just something to keep in mind. Now, this should be interesting, the fact that the Koreans have loaded them up in the boats and they're probably going to move them down this way to hit them. That should be pretty interesting. Definitely. I feel like now that we're dealing with Liga B, I can definitely check out the chat a lot more often now, because there's not a lot of duking it out back and forth as much as you do in Liga A. Yeah, that's pretty cool though, that I can actually communicate with chat a little bit more now. Yeah. Because I feel like everything in Liga B is super slow, or at least it's slower than normal, and you can like take a breather every now and then with the stuff, because you know, they're not moving as quick like lightning as I do. You know, I move very quickly with my armies. If I was Korea right now, I would be, you know, doing all sorts of Korean stuff to them that you wouldn't want to see, you know. I'd be doing Opposhanets and Spearmen and Fire Lances. This Dutch would be gone right now if I was Koreans. Here. But I think this Korean's going to win this match, honestly. They seem to have the edge, you know. They're playing the army really well. They're also going to... Oh no, this is the Dutch. Dutch are getting the fort. It looks like to defend there. Now they're getting the veteran upgrade. Wait a minute, no, they're going to get Grenadier from one, they're going to get Flanker from the other. Okay. It's good that they're keeping up with their upgrades. A little late though, you know, I will say that. A little late. Your opponent is already... Oh, they went with Cree trackers too? Man, this is not going to be good for you. Dutch, really. These trackers, look at the hit points on these things. I'm going to select them right now. Almost 400 HP. That's even more than these cavalry, these mountain units get. And he's putting the fort all the way down here too. And oh my, the villagers, they're going to go right into the, oh my, they're going right into the meat spreader. Oh wow. They don't even have to chase him down, they're running right to the enemy to get in. Oh, watch out for your Hawatches though, here comes the Hussars, but thankfully very slow. No. Get this. Spearman, get in the position. Also, send your righteous fighters out too if you can. I think we're gonna see that. Oh, don't let the Hawatche get hit. Watch the barrage of flyer arrows rain down on the enemy. The Hussars are dead. That was easy. Now you gotta get through the flankers and the Grenadiers. Man, I feel like Dutch... don't know. I think it came down to bad grenadier management, honestly. If you tried to bank those grenade throws a bit, I think you probably could have blasted through the spearmen and got the hussars to completely eat through the archers. Yeah, and then here comes the Chong-Chongs, not that I think they're going to be needed at all. Chong-Chongs are just this rocket artillery that the Koreans use, it's anti-artillery like a culverin. And they're also good against ships and buildings too, so they have some purposes. Yeah, I don't think it's going to come to that though, but yeah, grenades. You're aiming at the wrong unit. You should be aiming right into the heart of these archers. You shouldn't be aiming for the solo unit. Make that splash attack work for you, and unfortunately it didn't, so now you're going to lose the town center. I think that grenade toss was a little bit more fruitful, but yeah, always make sure when you're going with grenadiers you use the grenade tosses really well, because if not, it's better you just go skirmisher usually. Which you can do now since you are a capital age. You could begin skirmisher right now to deal with these archers, and that would definitely help out. It would definitely spray down the spearmen too. And we don't see any stable from the Koreans yet, so yeah, I would just go skirmisher if it was me. If you're not going to be able to use the grenadiers exactly the way they're supposed to be tossed. GG though, definitely an improvement, I think, from Shotgun this time around, at least unit comp wise, but still, if you're going to go grenadiers, you gotta manage the throw. If you can't do that, go skirms. Go for that FF and get the skirmies. Good attempt though. I mean, you definitely gotta work on your combat a little bit and your macro, but I'm sure you'll get there eventually. Alright, so now we're through, we're going to the third encounter now, and then we got 2 more after that. Today's been going pretty quickly, honestly. Yeah, definitely. Today's been going pretty quickly. Alright, so now we're going to be moving into game Mark versus Lars. This should be a pretty fun one. Lars loves to retreat and draw out the battle for many, many hours if possible. So we'll see if Mark can stomach a 12-hour game potentially. I'm kidding. Yeah, Lars does love the retreat though and prolong the match. If he can pull off a 12-hour match doing that, that'd be totally wonderful. Can make a whole stream around that. Would be very fun. But anyways, Lars is going with the Portuguese. It's as if he's been doing for the past few months, and honestly, he's been doing pretty good with them. Very slow, but once he gets going, he is able to use their comp pretty well, so I think he's got that part down okay. We see Mark going with the Paraguayans, though. I don't know how this is going to go. I think if it was me versus another Juanito, I think my Paraguayans would beat their Portuguese. Or at least I would keep them on their toes enough to stop them from really booming. See, the thing is with Paraguayans, they get a lot of stuff for free. They're like the handouts of, They get free military units, they get free barracks units, free stable units, free artillery, they get free resources from works. They're basically the automated Civ, basically. And they also get some pretty strong military things to go along with it, too. Like these villagers, the Queguas. They get a shotgun, a literal shotgun that deals splash damage against enemy units. Just a different play on the Courier de Blois concept, only these guys deal splash. And they actually also get military upgrades, too, from the town center, so they can get upgraded to Veteran Guard Imperial just like any military unit does. Making them just as formidable on the battlefield as they are gathering. In the old days, they used to have a lesser gather rate, but now that's been reworked so that they actually have the same gather rate as regular villagers now. So, really solid unit all around. The one thing they're not good at is building, though. They can only build a number of structures like houses, markets, and walls. Everything else has to be constructed by this Juanito over here, Mestre Panfilo de Portola, the Master Engineer. And the Master Engineer builds all the buildings the Queguas can't, and he can chop wood too with an axe. He's also a hero, so he can't actually die. And if he does fall down, you can ransom him from the town center. And then Paraguayans get a second explorer. This Juanito over here named Mark. He is the leader of your industry. And by that I mean when you build works as this civ, he'll actually boost the trickle rate that they provide when he's standing near him. Which is a pretty good bonus, you know. Definitely helps you out quite a bit. So, what's the deck look like for Paraguay? Oh my... What? What? He didn't even build a deck for the match? Come on, man. What was this, a meme or something? He's got to be trolling or something. This is the generic Paraguay deck that you get when you start the game for the first time. This isn't even a real deck. Look, he's got pigs. He's got pigs and crates and surgeons in the field hospitals. Is he trying to entertain us or something? This is like a jester's act. Look at this. Who would ever send this in a real match without getting laughed at? What is this? Hey, here's a field hospital and some surgeons, man. We're gonna win now, you know? The only good thing about shipping this card in when you have it in your deck is the fact that you're gonna probably need some serious surgery after the loss that you incur using this card. That's the only good thing about having the surgeon there, is literally to, you know, give you all the surgery you need from actually relying on that card. And I'm serious. I mean, why would you ever send that card? Make a real deck, you know, actually make a deck. He didn't even make a deck, he just went with the automatic one the game makes for you. With only like 13 cards. Like, Yerba make crates, Algongan. I mean, these cards are great, but not in a 1v1. You never want to send these in a 1v1. Because they're meant to gain more value the more teammates you got, right? If it's a 4v4, that's like 4k crate resources total with 1,000 to each player distributed, right? In this case, it's absolutely flat and useless because the amount of resources these crates provide is the same as the ones you get in Age 3 over here. So these are actually horrible cards in single-player games, and you should never get them. It's really bad if you do. Also, all the pork, all the jamon, all the ham. How do you plan on eating all those little piggies in one game? Like, I don't know. I have a feeling that's the automatic deck from the game. Lars, on the other hand, he built a real deck. Yeah, this looks pretty okay. You know, I would say, man, add some wood crates in. That would be very helpful. Add some wood crates in. But other than that, I mean, you got the food crates, coin crates that you normally do with Portuguese. He's got the volunteers, the line infantry. Got some crates in Age 3. Food, I would replace that with wood. The falconet one, I don't like one falconet myself, but you can do it if you think it's good. The arsonist shipment, though, that's kind of a spicy option. Yeah, I don't know. I think this works pretty good. Also, you get lots of booming cards too, which Portuguese are great with. As you know, they gain a covered wagon with each age up, so multiple town centers, you know, something you normally don't see in Age 2. So yeah, I think Portugal right now is looking really good right now. You know, Portugal's actually playing the game, whereas Paraguay, you know, they're really making field hospitals and pigs. My question is, are we even going to see a military building at all from this Juanito down here? I don't know. What do you think? Question of the century, is this Juanito going to make a barracks or a stable? Imperial Villager sounds wild. Yes, it is. It is wild. It gets a lot of stats, too. I mean, I have no idea what these cards do. Yeah, I don't know what this Juanito did, this Paraguay Juanito did. You know, all he has is like pigs, crates, and surgeons. I mean, It's like you literally picked up the Civ for the first time, and this is your first ever game playing them without even preparing a deck for them, not even trying to explore stuff. And I just noticed this Juanito hasn't even aged up yet. He's still in age 1, going up with the French wave. Wow. A 7-minute age up time. That is death. That's literal death. Thankful you have the surgeon card in there, because you're going to need some surgery after what's going to happen to you in this game. Yeah, that surgeon's going to be on full duty for all the people in that town center of yours in Paraguay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Lars already has some military, so he could actually go in right now and start hitting you. Oh yeah, I mean, he's starting to get the market technologies, which is good. He's got a barracks. He's all set to fight you right now, you know. And he's not even playing super optimally either, but just concerned the fact that you're doing a 7 to 8 minute age up. This is totally fine for Portugal. They're in good shape, you know. And then they got multiple villager queues going whenever they want. I would just, yeah, make sure you keep them up, of course. Yeah, he's keeping up with the villager queues, which is good. I mean, Portugal, base level is doing okay. They're playing the Civ properly. Paraguay, I don't know. I don't know what Paraguay is even doing. And do they even have any works buildings? They don't. That's the scary thing. They don't have a food works. They don't have a wood works. They don't have any works. So they're not even working. No works, no work. You know? I don't know. I'm gonna give Paraguay some build order advice as a result. So Paraguay, the way you do Paraguay is you add a card in here called Infinite Food Works Wagon, right here. Ship that first, and right on the side there's another one, Infinite Woodworks Wagon. Ship that next, so that way you get a Food Works and a Woodworks. And then once you finally reach age 2 with the French colony, what you do is, then you send bakery technology here. And then you get 2 more food works instead of 1 for that 1 shipment. So now you got 4 works trickling resources into you simultaneously. And then you can take your master of the industry here and put him near those works so they'll trickle out more resources. That's how you're supposed to do Paraguay. That's just one idea. You can certainly go 2 food works and go for a greedy bakery build with just food. But I don't usually do that anymore because I've suffered as a result of that. So yeah, definitely don't. I wouldn't recommend doing it. You could do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. Also, if you want to go for more, say, artillery or something, maybe you'll add a coin works in there as well, somewhere along the line. Yeah. So, because of the horrible macro situation, it looks like Mark is forced to go with immigrant units. Yeah. So, some Red Devils. These are basically immigrant Lanceros. Or, who's it? Lanceros, Sawars, Gunto. One of those units. I'll have to look at the stats real quick to see what the stats are. Alright, so I think they have the same stats as the Gunto Rider, honestly, from the looks of it, yeah. I never quite figured out what they were exactly. It looks like they're just Gunto Riders. Because I see the anti-skirmisher multiplier, yeah, they gotta be like Japanese cavalry. So yeah, pretty solid unit, but the thing is, you don't have any other units, so it's like, yeah, whatever, you know. If you have like your barracks out by now and your stables producing free stuff, you know, free Aka Yobatais and Primo de Nines, I'd say, oh yeah, man, good job, but yeah, you don't have anything else. Therefore, yeah. Now, the fact that Portugal's moving in so slowly here makes me think, are they just being slow on purpose? Are they, you know, simping for this little pobre Juanito here? Like, are they actually too scared to make the game go by in less than 10 minutes or something? Or, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, definitely we need to work on that Paraguay build, Mark, for sure, for the next matches, because this is not ideal. When you're starting to get the barracks and stable going now, man, yeah, you're giving up so much macro. It's not even funny. Even in the old days when I was playing like Paraguay like millions and millions of years ago, back in 2015, in the Kikamata tournament, I didn't even play this bad. I used to know the power of the works, and I would always, like, you know, get those going right away, man. Even when I was facing against Freak Killer. Yeah. Even then, even when I was horrible at this game, I at least knew how to play Paraguay reasonably well, you know. So, definitely, if you want to reach out to me and we can work on getting you ready with Paraguay, I could definitely help you with that. Yeah, that needs to improve a lot. I just don't like to see a Civ I'm so fond with, like the Paraguayans getting used like this. You definitely need some training in it. You're losing the essence of what's supposed to make him an easy Civ to use. You know, the works, the free units. You're supposed to be using that to your advantage. You know, and you're not even tapping into that. So it's a very losing battle really quickly. Maybe he misclicked and just rolled with the Civ. I had no idea what these cards did. Overthinking. Yeah, you're right. I probably am overthinking it a little bit, you know. trying to think of rocket science out of something very basic. Yeah. Trying to turn a basic arithmetic into calculus, you know. That happens sometimes, you know. Yeah. Definitely, though, that Juanito Mark definitely needs to get training with Paraguay really quickly, because as somebody that plays Paraguay a lot, that is not satisfactory gameplay, and that needs some real work. And I don't mind training him and doing it either. I could actually get him to like a really good level with the Paraguay Civ very easily too, because unlike all the other Civs in this mod, Paraguay is actually one of the easiest Civs to use.
Come on.
They basically take care of everything for you. So you're all set. You're all set, 100%. Alright, so Mark is going to go with Paraguay again. I'm going to be watching really carefully for that deck. If I see anything like that deck we saw last game, I'm going to say, before we even train you on how to play the Civ, we're going to train you on how to build a deck in Wars of Liberty first. Because we're going to have to do a lot of training for this Juanito if he doesn't, you know, show us a real deck this time. I'm going to be really worried for you.
See?
And I'm going to have to save you. Save my little Juanito from certain death. Alright, so this time around it's against the Ottomans. This is another one of the Civs Lars uses. In this situation, I feel like Lars is probably going to go Janissary, if I recall. And once he does, I feel like Paraguay is going to have a real hard time here. Yeah, I would have a hard time against Ottomans because my free units are shock units, and then the Janissaries can use their high HP and scimitar multipliers to utterly destroy that. So yeah, I would be really worried about that. Looks like Lars' starting build is pretty solid here. He's going for mosque plus house, and he's going to go for one of the training upgrades for the villagers too, so they're going to be produced a little bit quicker now. So Lars is pretty much on track right now with what he's doing. Definitely not missing a beat right now. As for Mark though, we're going to have to look at that deck and see what's going on. Also, here's another thing too. Stop chopping the wood at this stage, it's not worth it. With very few exceptions, like maybe India or something else, or when you want to go for hunting dogs, your villagers should definitely be on food only right now. They should be like eating this musk oxen right here. They shouldn't be chopping right now. Yeah. That's just a general rule of thumb in AoE 3. Don't start chopping wood until it's the transition from age 1 to 2. Or if you want to build a market and get hunting dogs. Unless, of course, you're Indian, you need the wood, right? That'd be like the only exception, or if you're trying to get enough wood to get an extra shrine in Japan or something, you know. play it by ear, but in general, you're not going to be chopping a lot of wood in age 1, or you shouldn't be, until you're, like, heading towards age 2. Just because you want to preserve that that 3 to 4 minute age 2 time, basically. Age up time. So, 300 food. Let's look at the deck. Okay. So our little Juanito here decided, you know what? I like my deck with lots of little pigs and random crate cards, so I'm just gonna... He kept the surgeons. He kept the surgeons. He really wanted them. He really wanted surgery. He saw how much he got wounded last game and how much, you know, fractures and other injuries he experienced in that last game, and he just wanted to have the surgeons be there to resurrect him again. Yeah. I will say, though, unit card-wise, Escopetero, Pardo, Artisanal, Infinite, Escopetero, H3, these are okay cards, you know. These ones are fine. This one's fine, this one's fine, this one's fine, this one's fine. The crate cards here are okay, but this all needs to go. Well, maybe not this. This one can be used depending on user preference, but these need to go. This needs to go. This needs to go, and these need to go. And you need to put in some useful stuff in there, because if not, you're already giving up the match for yourself. Also by chopping wood in age 1, too. I have a feeling Mark doesn't know how... Whoa. We've been talking about Mark all day, now we see Lars idling his vills. This is getting better and better. It's getting better and better. Now... Juanito Lars, why don't you age up? You seem to have enough food for it. Why don't you age up? Unless you feel bad for poor Marky Mark here and you're going to try to age up the same time he does. So you can age up together as a team. Feel like you're in it together to win. Together, yeah. Alright, so when are you going to age up? When are you going to age up? It's making me wonder what's going on. What is going on today? Still overthinking. Yeah. I got a trading post. That's cool. It's cool, Mark. You got a trading post. Got a trading post. That's okay. You got 2 houses. Why another house? Well, why are you getting another house? What's up with the pigs? If you're gonna go for little oinkers like this, build a livestock pen to put the oinkers in, so you can make some bacon and ham with them later and pork chops. Otherwise, don't make herdables if you're not gonna build a livestock pen, really. Now I will. What? Look at what he's doing. He's eating the oinkers before they get all the food in them too. He's gathering. Nah. This is getting really alarming. He is going to get actually more food from this than I think he does with the 300 crates, I believe. Because by the time he gets to all these little piglets, they're going to be a little bit more fattened up by the time, yeah. I have never seen this type of, you know. I have a feeling Marcus never played AoE 3 before, and he's just trying to learn the ropes of it right now. So, you know, I would recommend Mark try to learn some tutorial stuff for AoE 3 first. You know, read up on some guides on YouTube first, and then when you're good with that, then we could work on Paraguay together, potentially. If you can't figure it out already. You can actually check out millions and millions of Paraguay gameplays on my channel whenever you want. I do them like at least like once a week at this point, so yeah. If you're wondering how to use Paraguay properly, just check the Unstoppable Stiletzi YouTube channel out. Just figure out how to do it from what I do, and I think you'll be in reasonable shape. I mean, you won't have the more specifics down, you probably won't feel really flexible in what you're doing, but at least you'll be able to compete at some level. I mean, this is really not good performance at all. And this is probably even bad for Liga B standards. I mean, yeah. Learn the AoE3 basics first, and then check out my channel for how to use Paraguay. And I think those two things, you're going to be in great shape. You're going to have everything under wraps. You're going to know when to build the works buildings. You're going to know which ones to go with. You're going to basically have Lars retreating around the map, trying to run away from you. Yeah. So what is Lars doing? Lars is actually going to go with outlaws. Yeah, he's going for a tavern. Is he going to make outlaws? Oh, that's interesting. He's also going to ship in some native warriors. Yeah, these are actually native warriors, by the way. The Koalohis. Yeah, these are some sort of, like, I think it's like a Greek or North African native warrior that acts just like the arsonists do. They throw torches, and they're pretty strong. Yep, here they are. Here's the Koalohis. Yeah, these are what we call a bombardier grenadier unit. And what a bombardier does is, unlike the grenadiers we've seen before in this game, they actually continue to throw explosives. They don't have like a gun attack. And you'll notice a bit of a difference in their grenade attack. They still lack a malice against cavs, which is pretty great. But at the same time, they don't have any multiplier against infantry. However, the fact that they can continuously throw those explosive torches should tell you that they are really good combat-wise. Really good combat-wise. Yeah, and then they're also going to train in some Janissaries, it looks like. Alright, so Janissary and Kuluhi. Now, that's a pretty decent composition, you know, Janissaries with that. That's probably what Walker should have done in that Ottoman game earlier. You know, if he went with, like, a Siege and like Abbas Gunners or the Kuluis with some Janissaries, he probably would have been all set, I feel like, and probably could have taken an easy win there. But since he didn't go for that, I think he ended up suffering a severe price because of that. To that darkest Russian attack. As for Paraguay, has a barracks. Shipped in the Escopetero. Trained a couple Escopeteros. Whoa. This guy, Mr. Kevin Rodriguez, needs to be chopping wood. He doesn't need to be over here, man. He needs to be, you know, working over here. He can chop wood. You should definitely be using that to your advantage. I do like the fact that you went Escopetero this time, though. That should give you a little bit more defense, you know. Looks like he can actually defend himself right now. He's not booming, he's not doing well economically, but at least he has an army. He can actually do some damage potentially. And he's going to keep queuing up Escopetero, which is good. Yeah, get a little bit more wood maybe. Yeah, get that master engineer over there, Kevin, onto the wood. And you should be able to have something against the Ottomans, I feel like. If you just constantly queue up Escopetero, I feel like you can beat the Ottomans relatively easily. But if you don't queue them up constantly, I feel like they're going to beat you. Just saying. Yep, pretty much. I also like the fact that you're going with the immigrant workers too. Like you're keeping these guys going. Now the great thing about the French workers is, from the French immigrants, is they actually gather at a normal rate with all resources, you know. They give up having any particular real super bonus for just being able to, you know, be like regular villagers, right? They also get this military stats, at least armor-wise, of that of the Courier de Bois. So they're actually not bad at combat either. So these are probably one of the more solid villager units of the immigrant world. Now, the way the French houses work, the French immigrant houses work, is they double as a barracks, so you can actually train infantry from them, which is a pretty nice little side bonus. Wait a second, Paraguay's going up for a capital age. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's good to see you're doing that. Second French wave, so you're gonna, what are you gonna get from that? You're gonna get some, trying to remember. I don't remember what he gets. Does he get some, like, free immigrant cavalry or something? I think so. I think that's what he gets. That should help out. That should be good. What's not good, though, is the fact that you're ignoring these torch-throwing units and they're just getting... Oh, yep, good, good. Focus on the enemy. Good, good, good. Oh, wow. Yeah, those torch units are getting a lot of value there. Is he gonna actually scare him off? No. Whoa, look at that guy fly in the air. That almost seems like a cartoon effect, you know, when somebody's on fire underneath them and they're like hot, 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 hot. They jump up in the air. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know people flew that far when you threw a torch at them. I guess that's the way it works. Janissary is trying to cut through the engineers should not be on the front lines, by the way. You should be back chopping wood. Because now Paraguay can't construct additional buildings as a result of that. Just going to put them back a bit. Yeah, they're going to keep Kiwanescos, though. Wait, oh yeah, the Master Engineer is actually pretty decent at sieging buildings. You know, he actually can throw, like, dynamite at buildings, which is a pretty nice little bonus. I believe the dynamite actually damages enemy units too, if I recall. If I recall correctly, I think it damages enemy units. We'll have to see though. Because if that's the case, that could actually be a kind of interesting thing I should experiment with. Maybe against an AI or something, and if it works, maybe we try doing that in a 1v1 or something. Just go aggro with the Master Engineers and try to put them near the buildings and let them soak up a lot of damage from it. Yeah, right now it seems like Mark might actually have the Escopetero advantage in terms of numbers. Yep, they talked out the Master Engineer yet again. Because he should not be on the front lines. Oh, shipping artisanal cans, that could be useful. Provide a bit of anti-infantry there, also good against buildings. So, in this weird little matchup here, I feel like Paraguay might actually have a shot. You know, I see Ottoman's made one Abyss gun for some reason, one Abyss gun, not more Abyss guns. Like, what even is their resource count right now? Yeah, they have like no coin. Oh, now they're queuing them up. Alright. You're gonna get economic theory, so a little bit more economy there, which is pretty good. Okay, this is a problem. Why did he get cigar roller before you could even get access to plantations? Wait till you get plantations before you send cigar roller, because you still got... Well, the card they just sent, economic theory, would have been a better one. And number two, you could have sent sawmills, which you could actually use in the now. You could have also sent, yeah, you could have also sent the advanced arsenal too, to add some stats to your Janissaries. Just based on the deck you got. I mean, I would obviously want other cards myself, like maybe more crate shipments, maybe the deli shipment, maybe the Kevzar mercenary from Georgia, but of what you got, I would go economic theory, sawmills, advanced arsenal, and then sustainable agriculture, because you can build mills now, so it technically has a use. I just don't understand what they're waiting for, you know. I feel like at this point, one of these guys, if they really committed super hard, could kill the other one pretty easily. So, Pox, you believe that Mark came from Age of Empires 2? And, somebody else says he came from Warcraft. I think he probably came from Warcraft myself. Because, let's be honest, if you were experiencing Age of Empires 2, you'd probably perform similar to Blackwing and you'd probably be doing a little bit better. Because, here's the thing, Age of Empires 2 is a lot harder than AoE 3 is. Like, there's a lot more moving parts, the initial start of the game is really tricky. Like, if you can handle macro in AoE 2, AoE 3 is like nothing. Just put the villagers on the hunts and maybe herd a little bit, that's it. And gathering treasures, like, nothing else. You know, all you have to do. Yeah, I definitely think this one echoes a Warcraft player, probably. At least from my understanding of the Warcraft RTS games. Yeah, definitely. Because I actually started out as an AoE 2 player myself. Yeah, before I picked up AoE 3, like seriously, I started out with AoE 2. At the multiplayer level, I started out AoE 2 on the HD edition and used to face off against people in team games and stuff, so my macro skills, once I learned them in AoE 3, were probably far better off, once I really got down to learn it. I mean, there was a phase when I really didn't know what I was doing, but once I learned basic principles like, hey, keep your villager queue going, keep this going, then, even before I really gained any hardcore build order logic, I still managed to do okay with AoE 3. Because I at least learned from AoE 2 that queuing up villagers is really essential. See, they're adding some pearls in as well. Bit of anti-cav in there. Yeah, at this point, I mean, you don't really have a lot of army. I really can't tell between, like, what Ottomans are doing and what Paraguay's doing. Who's really in the right here? I would say probably Ottomans, just because, well, they got a nice clump of Janisters and Abyss Gunners. They also have some good shipments in Age 3 if they can afford them, right? Like the Kului natives, Part 2. They could send in the Spahis, that'd be good. The Mamluks could be good, yeah. Those are some decent options, you know? And I feel like if Lars gets at least one of those things, I think Paraguay is done for. Hands down, they're done for. Yeah, I definitely would say for both of these players, though, they definitely should take care of their macro a lot more. Yeah, definitely take care of your macro like a lot more. Because these unit comps, the amount of resources they're acquiring, they need to definitely work on timing in terms of market techs, what to start out with, when to go mining, when to go chopping. That seems to be the area that both players are struggling with a bit. But I feel like Lars, because he has more experience in AoE 3, has a better grasp on it, you know. And he's at least able to make some semi-decent stuff, you know. This Marky fella definitely needs to learn AoE 3 really badly. Yeah, so what happens now? Does, like, Lars go up with the shipment of Spahi, you think? To finish it off? Yeah, I think that's totally possible. Yeah, again, a covered wagon, that's another solid option, you know. Almonds, as you know, their villagers produce automatically, however you want to say it. So you don't actually have to pay any food to actually produce their villagers. They just sort of come out on their own as the queue works. So the more town centers you get, the more automatic queues you get of your villagers. Also going to send Royal Mint in for coin gathering. I mean, at this point, anything flies. I definitely don't see this Paraguay being a threat. Standing on top of your artillery foundry foundation. Oh, that's one for Paraguay. Ah, okay. Kind of an interesting place for one, though. Like, I get that he was sort of thinking of something creative, but just the timing is really off. Also, man, why don't you have veteran Escopateros at this stage? You should also consider getting Buckshot from the arsenal to add some more splash onto him. Nah, okay, so now you got some of your trash units taking up the front lines. That gives you Escopateros a bit more time to do their shooting work. Yeah, I mean, you're just outnumbered a lot right now. And I feel like when you deal with this deadly compensatory plus Abyss spinner, yeah, that's really tedious, you know, it's really painful and tedious to deal with. Yeah, absolutely being shredded. Yep, GG Lars, good work. You were able to survive this one pretty well. Now we move on to encounter number 4, and then we have one more after that. Recorded games. Now we move on to Ali versus Sask. So Ali is going with the British, and I believe Sask is going with Germany. Oh, Germany, a pretty solid civ. In general, I feel like Germany has a bit of an edge here since, you know, they're basically the British now, right? See, when you're Germany, you get this wonderful ability. Oh, wait a second, is this the right... Oh, we'll go with this one, it doesn't matter at this point. So anyways, the way Germany works is the Mayor House. Basically, when you build it, called the Mietskaern, you get a free villager from it, right? Just like the British do. And that's basically the key to how this Germany civ works in Wars of Liberty. Try to build as many of these Mietskaern houses as possible so you can get your free settlers from them. And then, of course, you also get this card here, the Hobreich Plan. Copy of the Virginia Company, works exactly the same as the British. Makes the houses about 87 wood cheap. So that way you can get even more free settlers that much quicker. So yeah, that's sort of the key of the civ. Also, they get something called the Krupp Factory, which can automatically produce artillery over time. So that's something you don't experience until the third age, capital age. Nothing to really focus on for H2 gameplay if that's all we're going to be seeing here. As for the British though, if you know that the Germans now had the Mayor House bonus, what did the British get? So the thing the British get now is they actually lose their Manor House bonus, but they gain the ability of special age-ups called marriages. So they can get married to one ruler in Europe and eventually within the British Empire. And based on that marriage, they get granted a special bonus or a special benefit from it. For instance, if you get married to the Swiss, they'll give you banks. If you get married to the Swedes, they'll give you sawmills. If you get married to a Belgian, you'll get the Belgian African natives and the native embassy. And if you age up as the Canadians, you'll get wood, lots and lots of wood to every member of the team. So, yeah, definitely pick and choose the marriages you go for with the British. And that's the other thing the British get. They get a fully unique roster of infantry and cavalry. All their barracks and stable units are indeed unique units. So, instead of musketeers, you got redcoats. Instead of like crossbowmen or longbowmen or skirmishers, you got the green jackets. Instead of hussars, you got the cherry bums. Dragoons are simply the Scots Greys. Their heavy cav, their assault would be the household blue. Oh yeah, did any of you know that Cuirassiers, the French cavalry unit from AoE 3 Legacy, is now a common unit that all majority of European civs can actually train. So Spain, Italy, Danish, Germans, French. Yeah, really interesting stuff. You know, a lot of civs can get them now. Quite powerful too. Quite a powerful option. British used to be able to train them until they got swapped out for the unique roster. Now they're just household blues. Works pretty much the same, just with some altered stats. They can become stealthy in Age 4 though, with a special card called the Moonlit Charge, which unfortunately we don't see here, but yeah, it's pretty substantial. And for whatever reason, British don't get villager shipments at all, which I found a bit odd. What they do get, though, is 3 trickle card options, so they can get distributivism for the wood, capitalism for the coin, and then for the food they get Colbertism. So they get all 3 of those. Kind of strange that we don't see any of those, though. That's going to probably lead to some very interesting results, to say the least. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can put the mic down somewhere. No, don't think that's going to work. Now, this is a bit concerning for Ali, as he's not even aged up yet. We're looking at like a 5-minute age up time. And he's still queuing up villagers, so I don't think Ali exactly knows how long you're supposed to wait to age up for. Yeah, because he's still queuing up the villagers, assuming he doesn't cancel any of these. Probably looking at like a 7-minute age up time. Similar to Mark, actually. So maybe this Ali fella is maybe another Warcraft player, perhaps. I don't know. So what are they going to get married as? Prussia? Yeah, I feel like Prussia's probably one of the weaker marriages. I guess the way they work is every barracks you build gives you free redcoats or something. Not that interesting, you know, not that useful. I think it's probably one of the weaker marriages to use. I much more prefer the French because they give you improved gather rate for your villagers, whereas the Dutch give you access to, you know, their economy, right? You can get your settlers, I think, gain a bonus to farming and berry bush. You can make the Japanese, you can make the wood villagers, you can make the coin villagers. So, yeah. If you like the Dutch economic system, go with the Dutch marriage. If you like the French economy, go with the French marriage. Otherwise, you get the Danish that can give you golden ages and an XP crate or 2. That's probably okay-ish, but I much prefer the French and the Dutch to the first marriage. Sauskas appears to be doing okay, though, and his rate of constructing the Mites-cairns is pretty okay as well. You know, the more of these Mites-cairns he builds, the more settlers, free settlers he's going to get from them. He's also shipping in some wood, which I like to do because it basically allows you to get even more of these nice free settlers out of it. And you gotta think of it from sort of a perspective, right? Like, what's a normal villager card in AoE 3-4 in a deck? Like, typically a card will include 4 to 5 villagers at their standard gather rate, right, for an H2 card. So, with 700 wood, if you have the Harbreak plan done, essentially you can get about, I would say the amount of wood you get. Really good number of free settlers. Not to mention build bounty from building those houses, which you can put into another shipment, right? So I think it's even powerful than going with the villager card. Myself, just going with the 700 wood. Yeah, cluing with the chopping you're already doing, like here. And Sasuke's actually going to go for a fast fortress, the capital age, with the cornet. Going to get some free hussars. I mean, at this rate, may as well go greedy, because your opponent not really doing a whole lot right now. Not really. I mean, they're just sort of just... They just aged up right now with the... almost the 8-minute mark. Yeah, pretty late. Pretty late to be aging up. Now, this is, whew. This is going to be a fun one. Advanced Mill. This Juanito here actually was serious about using Advanced Mill in Age 1. Yeah, that's... I don't know about that. I don't know. And then he actually got land grab too to make the farms cheaper as well. So, what do the farms cost when you get both of those? 121 on mills? I mean, the price isn't bad, but you literally spent 2 shipments to do that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do now. Because what I see Sask doing now is shipping in some wood and getting a croup factory. And then it's all over. It's going to get like a croup factory, maybe a stable with some salt cav. Yeah, and you're looking at death's door right there. I don't see what you're going to do about that. Always going to go for the Yuan shipment. That's another good option. So, Germany gets access to a decent Yuan shipment here for about 500 food, about 10 veteran Yuans. Because, see, the Germans don't get access to Yuans anymore. They get access to Hussars. Royal Guard Hussars, the Totenkops. And the only way you can ever see Yuans in the Civ is through the shipment here from West Prussia. Also, you can make line infantry, so Musketeers now is Germany. They also get Royal Guard, so they're the Makeoff for line infantry. They can also make skirmishers. Yeah, they can still make skirmishers. I was just wondering what was going on. Yeah, they can make skirmishers. And they can also make, they can still make volunteers too, so they got like the crossbow and pikeman thing still going on. Only Germany gets a unique pikeman now called the, I forget what it's called, but it's some sort of peasant with like a war scythe. It's pretty good, you know, it has some decent stats and can get a charged attack as well with one of the cards, so that's another decent option. Alright, so Yunans, Hussars, Musketeers. This is the other thing you should understand about Yuans and Wars of Liberty. They actually are only 1-pop units. People might be thinking, why are they 1-pop units? I used to see them being 2-pop units. Well, the thing is, the Wars of Liberty team figured out, because the hit points on the Yuan are so low, they're actually value-wise comparable to like Coyote Runners, and therefore should only be like a 1-pop unit, allowing players to stack them up more and actually put them to good use, you know? In the late game, right? In the early game, you're not going to see a lot of them, but in the late game, they're going to be more valuable if you can double up their numbers at least, right? To make up for that loss of HP that they have to deal with. So basically, you can start to swarm with them, which is pretty good. So where's British? Oh, British has some red coats. That's okay. Got some red coats. I gotta go with another barracks, it looks like. They're actually gonna ship in some wood as well, so they don't get house, which is a-okay. I mean, I definitely think at least what British is doing here makes a little bit of sense. I think this Ali Juanito is afraid of getting raided away from his base, and that's why he's hugging the Advanced Mills card a lot. No, he's just afraid of getting raided, and I think that's totally okay if you feel like that. I used to like the advanced mill card a lot because I didn't like venturing out for hunts. But what you learn right away is farm and gather rates are really bad until you start to get some upgrades on it, right? So at like this stage, really not useful to you at all. So definitely wouldn't get that. Definitely wouldn't get that. Yeah, I mean, I think Germany has this in the bag at this point because it's Germany. We're talking about, again, free settlers left and right. Yeah, they're definitely doing really good. Do we have the Krupp factory coming out yet, or is that? Yep, it's coming up right now, even before the wood shipment. This is going to produce free foot artillery unless he wants culverins for whatever reason. So yeah, this is going to be really useful. Yep, here comes the queue. You can see the foot artillery slowly being produced from it. And the way these work too is they get +1 build limit per age up. So once you get to industrial age, you can have 2 of them. When you get to imperial age, you can have 3 of them, which is really nice, really useful. With all those free cannons, you can really add something really strong to your Royal Guard line infantry. And this card too for Germany is like a must, this needle gun one. It actually adds an improved rate of fire to your line infantry as well, so they actually shoot faster. They shoot faster than a standard musket, so they can reload their guns faster. It's really useful. We see some level 1 market technologies from Sask as well, so he's keeping up macro-wise. GG. Yeah. GGG. Yeah, I think it's going to be a GG for Ali really soon here. I mean, he is trying. Now, I don't understand why you're making 5 barracks. The rule of thumb in RTS is do not make production buildings unless you know you're going to be able to actually use them, right? That's something you hear a lot in AoE 2, a lot in Age of Mythology. Try to align the number of production buildings you have with the resources that you plan to have, right? So if you're planning on queuing those things up constantly, yeah, have 2-3 barracks. But if you can't afford even, well, they do have a lot of coin, but not enough food. That's the problem, right? If they had more food, I would say, yeah, having 4 barracks might be good. But in this case, I would say maybe have 2 barracks. Because you don't expect to get a lot of food from these mills. The only time you would be getting enough food to keep these going right now is if you were eating these elk or moose in the back. I think if you were doing that with, say, hunting dogs and steel traps, yeah, I would say, yeah, you're on the right path. But right now, yeah, so you're only going to get, like, only a minuscule number of units. It's not even really worth it, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're dealing with veteran skirmishers versus unupgraded green jackets. That's asking for trouble. Yeah. GG. Good work. Good work, Germany, that is. Yeah. They did a pretty good job there. Now we're going to load up another one. Move on to the next one. How do people like these smaller beginner games, though? I'm curious, people in the chat right now. Do people prefer the more I spend like 10 hours doing advanced games, or do they like these shorter beginner games? What do you feel like you gain more entertainment from, viewing-wise? And also, entertainment-wise, too, which one do you feel like is more informative for you? I personally like the more advanced games myself, to see what sorts of builds people go with, but I think these beginner level games can also be pretty solid as well. Just because I feel like we can learn some stuff from lower level players, and not only how to help them out, but other players that might be in the same situation. It can be a really, really nice learning tool. So apparently, yeah, these Juanitos got the naming conventions wrong, and this is actually match 1. You know, we always start at Mendocino, and then we pick up with Hudson Bay afterwards. So now we're going to see the Mendocino game and see how this one goes. So now Ali is actually the Germans this time, so he will be, you know, rocking those free settler houses now. We'll see how he does with them. And then the opponent is the Japanese. The anime girl Civ. The waifu Civ. So yeah, let's see how that goes. And here's your waifu Izanami right now. Perfect. Now, Japan in Wars of Liberty works really the same as they do in Legacy. Only thing you're going to notice, of course, are these waifu monks now. Yashiro and Izanami. Also, the fact that their roster is a bit more modernized now, right? So instead of Ashigarus, they got Shigumas. Instead of Yumi Bowman, they got the Kie Skirmisher. Instead of the Naginari Cavalry, they got the Gunto Cavalry. And then instead of the Flaming Arrow, they got the Kanyoho modernized Western Cannon. It does look like right away we should be expecting a Portuguese build here. Yep, exactly. Portuguese build. So Sask is going with the Portuguese allies at the beginning of the match so that he can make his shrines and his wonders cheaper. And you know what that means? If you can make a wonder cheaper, that means that your age up is going to be quicker. Yeah, your age up is going to be cheaper as well, because you age up with wonders, and therefore when you have the Portuguese allies active, the food and coin cost of the wonder goes down. Nice little tidbit that not everybody knows about. But I'm sure if you check out build orders on Definitive Edition for Japan, you're probably going to hear something about using the Portuguese console in Age 1 to do that. It's a neat little trick. Now, I don't know if you would want to go 300 wood. I think I would have rather preferred go with the Heavenly Kami myself, just to make the shrines cheaper. Yeah, because what are they right now? Like 107? They'd probably be really cheap if you got that, and then you'd be able to keep up. Yeah, because remember, shrines, they lure the animals in, and then the more animals you got near the shrine, the better it gathers, the more this trickle goes up. If you don't want food, you can change it to wood or coin. There's a card that lets you train and change it to experience as well, trickle-wise. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. And another thing you do too with Japan is you can scout the map with one of your orchard rickshaws as well, since you technically only need one at the start of the game. Just try not to let it get killed though, because these orchards are a really good source of food for a starving Japanese population. Because remember, Japan in Legacy, they're basically pescatarians, right? They can't eat meat, but they can eat fish, and they can eat, fruit. And they can eat rice. They can work on the rice paddy, they can gather from berry bushes and the cherry orchards, and they can gather fish from the sea. So, very limited diet. Even more restrictive than the Indians, they can at least eat deer and stuff. So now we see the Toshogu Shrine. This is a pretty standard build for Japan. A very nice, boomy, defensive one. So what you do is, you start again with the consulate Portuguese here. Make the wonder cheaper, go with the Toshogu Shrine, and while you're aging up, you're moving your kami around the map, picking up shrines all over the place. He should really begin Heavenly Kami now to get that thing even cheaper, as well as improve the trickle rate slightly as well. Definitely needs to work on that. Unless he's saving up for a crate shipment later, though. Could be saving up for the 600 wood, perhaps, or maybe even a Gensui, like Siago Takamori or something. Oh, the Heartbreak plan. That's a pretty good, nice thing. So basically, yeah, these houses go down to about 88 wood, it looks like now. Thought they were 87 for some reason. Yeah. So yeah, basically, you're going to get a lot of free settlers out of this Azali, which should be pretty helpful to you. Yeah, the one thing to watch out for, though, is the age-up time. I feel like this time Ali had a much better age-up time at about 4 minutes. You know, 4 minutes. Last game, by the time he reached age 2, it was like almost, what, like reaching the 8-minute mark, right? That's pretty scary. This here, he's in a bit better shape. So he's going up with the aristocrat. That means that he's going to get, I believe, some free settlers, and he's also going to get some herdables too, like some cows, I believe, or sheep or something. So yeah, some free villagers. That'll help your eco out a little bit. I'm just a little bit scared for you because Japan, you know, Japan's going to have a really good economy now because they're really digging deep into their shrine production. We also see another cherry orchard being ready to be constructed down here. Also a barracks that's going to be constructed at this point. And yeah, once you get that wonder down, the first one, you can technically leave the Portuguese if you want to go for stronger consulate options like the Dutch or Japanese, potentially. Japanese isolationism. So we'll see if they end up doing that. Looks like, yeah, that orchard wagon left a little bit to do some more scouting before it plops down and builds right over here near the other one. A nice solid 4.5k food to keep your pescatarian villagers hungry, and no, not hungry, but full rather, you know. Full of those sugary little cherries. And yeah, on maps with no berry bushes, you'll actually get more cherry orchards to work with to make up for that loss. Which is pretty nice. What's Ali gonna do now? I see he's going for Gang Saw, the first wood chopping upgrade. Does he have any sort of like aggressive plan here to fight back against Japan at this point, do you think? Yeah, I'm not too sure at this point. Like, if it was me and I was Germany against Japan, I'd be taking advantage of the free settler economy I got and try to get down some line infantry and start attacking those shrines, you know? A very intelligent Juanito once told me the best way to deal with Japan is to snipe their shrines. That's like the best way to go. If you can take out the shrines, you're in good shape. 100%. Coin. That's interesting. Yep, we can see the Shigumas moving in with their katanas, getting ready to go to war. Looks like they're going to have a pretty nice early edge here, since the barracks is just coming up for Germany. Of course, with only a couple Shigumas, you're not going to take down a town center with that, but at least you can keep these villagers hiding away in their little town center here, away from the silver mine. Ooh, good shot. Good reaction time from Ali, though. Yep, good reaction time. Only lost one villager there. Now Germany's just going to queue up like 4 batches of line infantry. Wow, that's a lot of queues going. Well, not a lot of queues going, but just one queue going with like four blocks of line infantry. You see Germany shipping in some villagers. Not a bad idea. Now, I would say get another barracks right now, so you can maybe divvy. Now you would want another barracks. You know, when you have the resources to have like 5 or so blocks of line infantry, cut that down to 2 barracks so they can come out a bit quicker. Yeah. Is a good idea. You know, because now since you're only working off of 1 barracks, the Shiguma are going to have a higher number over you, just because they're not only training their Sugumas, they're also shipping them from the home city, which for Japan, remember, they can use their cards twice a lot of the time, so you're talking like 2 additional batches of Suguma on top of the ones at the barracks. They're going to beat you there unless you put down another barracks and beat them there. You know what I mean? It's something you gotta keep track of and pay attention to. Another thing Japan could do too is also send in their batch of volunteers, the academicos from the consulate. Decent skirmish unit. Would definitely throw them an edge over the line infantry to the point that of absolute victory, I would say. So we'll see if they do that. Looks like right now they're just going to be queuing up Shugumas non-stop. So I don't know what's going on. Can't quite tell what the method of the madness is today with a lot of these players. But I'm thinking like, what are they thinking exactly? You know, I'm trying to think back to a time when I used to be at this level, more or less. Well, that's the problem back then. I didn't really think a lot about it. I was like, oh yeah, Paraguay OP. Let's use Paraguay. Oh yeah, let's attack a player with some halberdiers or something. We'll do alright. Then I would learn they'd come back with like 50 skirms, 50 musketeers, and like an array of cannons. And oh no, I'm not doing too well. Yeah, basically. It took me many years of practice and experience before I really got down how to defend myself properly in 1v1. Now it's pretty easy to do, you know, unless you're dealing with a really high level Juanito or something to do that. So yeah, it's something that comes with time, unfortunately. Yeah, and now the shipping of the Kies is going to start, so the skirmisher component. Check the chat, why not? No new chat messages lately, okay. Much more slow and easy day, I would say, because it's not a lot of intense coverage to do, just some basic stuff, some learning along the way for these players. I hope that when players look over my commentary, they understand I'm simply trying to teach them stuff, you know. Never take it personally, never say, oh my god, my hero Unstoppable Stiletzi's called me a noob. Well, I am calling you a noob, but you don't have to be one for long if you follow my recipe, you know. There's a way out of it, thankfully. I mean, I used to be in the same spot as you were. In fact, when I was like a really bad gringo when playing Wars of Liberty, with like really poor gringo with gameplay, some lobbies in Game Ranger used to kick me out for being too bad at the game. So, yeah, thankfully, I don't think many players have to deal with that type of intolerance anymore, luckily. So, yeah, just always make sure when you get joined into a lobby and like Radman or something, you try to learn as much as you possibly can from the players, you know. I hope, certainly, nobody kicks you out. They just let you come and keep learning, you know, just like I had to learn, you know. Nobody should be kicking anyone out of lobbies, because how else are you supposed to learn anything if nobody welcomes you in to learn stuff? I think that's really important, you know. Definitely is. So now we're actually on the last encounter of the day already, and what time is it? Just about 5 p.m. and we're like, I have never seen this before, man. Like, actually completing a Liga live stream and actually being able to eat dinner on time. Like, wow. Never see that. So now it's Ivins versus Hamilton. Just like the play. I wonder if Ivins has seen Hamilton before. I haven't seen Hamilton before. Have you seen Hamilton before? How is it? We'll see here how Hamilton does. So, HH Nameless versus Ivins. Ivins is going with the France Civ. HH Nameless is going with the Spaniards. The Ole Santiago España Civ. So 2 vanilla Civs. So Spain in Wars of Liberty. Civ bonus wise pretty much the same, but unit roster wise quite a bit different. Yeah. So they do have their missionaries still. They still got muskets, skirms, the Royal Guard pikemen thing going on. But they got some new weapons to use, right? They got a marine infantry, the Infante Menina. They actually got cuirassiers as well. Like I mentioned before, they get that splash cab option. They got a unit called the... I'm trying to remember what it's called. Basically, it's a raiding infantry that has multipliers against villages and can trickle some coin. So they got that. I think it's called the Aduanero, I believe. The Aduanero, yeah. And then they got Ultimate Unit, which basically used to be the old Spanish Lancer, right? You know, the cavalry with the lance that have multipliers against infantry. Now that's their ultimate unit, so therefore it has a build limit, but what it does do now is it has an aura around it that speeds up nearby cavalry units, making them move faster. So it ends up leading to a pretty formidable stable force if you add in their new lance cavalry called the Batador with the cuirassiers and the hussars. You could even mix dragoons in too. Another little thing to keep in mind, the unction card is always active now from the start of the match. So that means your missionaries, as soon as you build your church and you start making missionaries, they'll start the game by boosting your unit's attack. And actually they have an added thing to signify that now. You'll see like the shining light from heaven, from God and stuff, come down on your units' heads to let you know that they're being blessed by the missionaries to do more attack. Which I felt like it was a pretty nice little bonus to showcase. As for the opponent though, France, you know, at the base level they seem pretty much the same that they've always been, but there are some differences to pay attention to with them. Oh, by the way, the Sanchoid villagers, which you might recognize from DE, from the Napoleonic era revolt, they basically have the same stats as the Coureur de Bois, so nothing too different about that. But getting back to the new stuff for France, older units are Royal Guard now, so they're pikemen, they're volunteers, they're line infantry, they're hussars, they're dragoons, they're cuirassiers, they're grenadiers, which they get now, called the grognards. And apparently they don't get skirmishers anymore either. You know, what France gets instead of a skirmisher is a mounted skirmisher called the Chasseur Cheval from the stable. So a bit of a roster change for them. And apparently, France is one of only 2 civs in the game to have Royal Guard Marine Infantry, with the other one being the Dutch. So yeah, that definitely gives them a bit of a unique identity as well. But other than the Royal Guard fact and the fact that they have some different units like the Chasseur Cheval and one the Zouave from the home city, which is a ranged assault infantry. We'll see if they end up making an appearance here. Nothing too different, honestly. Nothing too different. So yeah, this is the Zouave. This food card right here. And note how you can send in infinite times as well. While you might want to send it as an infinite shipment, they actually have options too of training them from forts as well with the card. So yeah, you get multiple options to access this home city unit if you want to, right? It's not as limited as, say, the Svahi is for the Ottomans, you know. You can get lots and lots of Zwevs during the game if you like them a lot. And what sets them apart from other assault cavalry is the fact that they're ranged. So the way they express their anti-infantry properties is by having a multiplier against infantry at range and in melee. And they have hand armor like most assault units do. But being assault, that means that they're vulnerable to dragoons. Dragoons will have a field day sniping them. What you want to use the Zouaves for is taking down groups of musketeers, ideally. They can be used against skirmishers as well. Depending on the number, right? If they get outnumbered, they'll probably have some problems, but if you can outnumber them, get maybe 40 Zouaves in a line, yeah, that can be a daunting thing for your opponent to deal with. We'll see, though, what Ivanch goes with exactly here. So I see 4 Sankalid villagers being shipped in right now, after the 3 villager one here. deck-wise, I think France is pretty well off. I mean, this is generally how I like to build French decks. I like to have some crates. Crates here look good. This is a very fast industrial focused one since we don't get the wood option. See the Cuirassier shipment. This is basically a decent FF deck for France because they got that traditional artillery card, the skirmisher one, the Cuirassier. Only thing you don't see is dragoons. You see line infantry instead. And then you get the powerful Zouave option. You also get regular combat, which benefits grenadiers and line inf. You get cavalry combat, hand cavalry combat, which benefits hussars and cuirassiers. So really we're regular combat, so that's actually benefits the pikes and the volunteers, which are the early skirm, your crossbowmen. You do see Royal Mint, factories, steel guns. Thoroughbreds, I'm not too sure about in this game. See, in the Asian dynasties, as you know, basically what Thoroughbreds does improves the training time of the Cuirassier and the cost of it. Here it only improves their movement speed, which to me, actually improves all cavalry speed, which is kind of interesting, yeah. I'm not too sure about that, though, because I don't really think if I get that late in the game, I'm really going to care how fast my hussars are moving a lot of the time, unless they're maneuvering or something. I'm much rather going to focus more on their stats. Like how much are they able to withstand HP-wise, and how much damage can they inflict. So what's this nameless fellow doing? He's going to be going up with the 7-minute age-up time. I don't get what these Juanitos Nuevos have with the 7-minute age-up time, but it looks like it's a trend. A very bad trend, but a trend nonetheless. These hussars are going to have a pretty easy time maybe getting a kill in here. Ooh, cool. Yeah, they're going to they're going to slice open the doggo. Poor doggo. Sparing the villager is they're sipping for that female villager because they let her live for a few seconds more. Yeah, that reaction time is a little slow, man. Definitely want to make sure, Hamilton, that you do not allow opponents to slash at you for that long, Not good. Not good at all. So what deck does he have? What? No deck? This Juanito hasn't even prepared a deck, hasn't even selected a deck yet. He has 3 shipments in his hand and he hasn't even shipped one thing yet. We've hit a new low, folks, today. I thought it was pretty bad when we saw Mark going with the beginner deck from the game generates. Now, we've got a Juanito that doesn't even use a deck at all and plays it like it's AoE 2 or Age of Mythology. I mean, I admire the challenge if you're doing it for a challenge, but man, if you're wondering why you're so behind, it's really because you're not even shipping any cards in, man. Yeah. If you somehow win this with no deck, I would say, yeah, that's really impressive work, man. Because that takes a lot of macro to do. Oh, ouch. He's also letting him cut through his settlers as well, which is like, woohoo, 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 free villagers, woohoo! Ivan just like, this is easy, man. I never had this. Ivan's last time around played in the regular Liga before there was a separation between A and B, so he was facing against people like me. So I think he's probably going to end up back in Liga A at this point. It's like, this is easy, man. I just make a bunch of hussars and these Juanitos just hide inside their town center. They don't even hide in the town center. They're slowly just standing right here in the grass waiting for you to do something. Like, hola, Juanito. What do you want me to do? Juanito? Just stand here in the grass. Yeah, I mean, it's like, wow. What do you do exactly? It's kind of a dicey situation, isn't it? I mean, hey, if that was me and I was letting that happen, I would have, like, went, I'm out of here, man. I'm resigning from the match. I'm not going to let my... How many vills? Look at this villager queue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. Like, 11 villagers in queue. That's pretty bad. Like, what's even his... He only... Well, see, this is the problem. We don't know how many villas he actually has. Wait a minute. He has 10 villagers on the field. He's going to have 11. That is horrible. That's like even less villagers than you have when you're going from age 1 to 2. He's basically dead man walking right now. Wow.
What?
Gotta work on your defenses there, buddy, or at least knowing when to hide in the town center. And I guarantee he's gonna lose even more now. Oh yeah, I'm gonna build a stable, man. I'm gonna make some hussars, and... Yeah. Well, you can't even afford 1 hussar. How are you gonna make 5 of them? Yes. Yep, that idea went down the drain. No more stable for you. Take off. Maybe take down a house. Take down tu casa. Oh. Okay. 5 shipments in hand and no deck. What is this? What is he doing? What is this? When is this ever normal? What is this? 5 shipments. Totally useless. You could have said like 3 settlers, 700 wood, 700 coin, 8 line infantry, 8 partisans. You would have been okay. What is this? What is this challenge? Now, I'm going to be paying attention in game 2. If this man does not draw a deck, I'm going to be seriously scratching my head. Like, what happened? How is this even possible? I think the thing we can learn from Liga B, with this being week 1, is expect the unexpected. And always prepared to be disappointed beyond your wildest dreams. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, honestly, seriously, like, I didn't know that I'd be running into these sorts of dilemmas with these players. Like, I understood the Liga B the players were less advanced than Liga A, but the fact that we got people using the start game deck with missing cards, and then we get one guy that's not even using any cards at all. Hit lows that I didn't even know you could hit in competitive play. Yeah. It's alright though, you know it is. And I hope that anyone that engages in Liga B watches my channel and sees how to build good decks, you know. They should be watching that real carefully. Because I put up like 5 to 6 gameplays, usually of either DE or Wars of Liberty or something else all the time. So yeah, just watch my channel, just learn what cards are good, which ones are bad. Try to make a deck for yourself to see what works for you, and if that doesn't work, maybe see what I do and learn something from it. Or not even me, you know, when you're watching Liga A gameplays and you're watching, you know, Eternity or MCMR or even Liga B Chorizo, just see what they do, you know? Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Definitely see, like, what cards are good, because you definitely don't want to be in this situation where your deck is completely barren like a desert like this. That's asking for trouble. The French hot air balloon is still scouting around the map. Yeah, by the way, native scouts are gone in the French Civ. Now they just use these nice, cool, fancy hot air balloons with nice French flag colors on them. So yeah. Okay, so Ivan's just going in with like 2 foot artilleries and some grenadiers. And like, yeah, this is real easy at this point. Yeah, I would say probably out of all these opponents, probably the only like super 100% solid ones we can put on the Liga A are probably Ivan, Sass, probably Gavas, or Darkus. Darkus and Ivans were in Liga, the last Liga, so they could at least compete quasi with people like me. Saska's pretty solid, and Ivan's is pretty okay. Yeah. They're not experts, but at least they know basic macro and they can like make those unit choices and stuff. They're not micro kings by any chance, but they at least know how to make the units work. You know? Like this, I mean, you see Ivan's making cav, muskets, grenadiers, cannons. He's making everything. Well, this Juanito here, basically, he's fighting with villagers. This little blunderbuss, like, oh yeah, fear me, fear my civilians. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think I'd ever see the day this ended up in any league at all. It's alright though, I mean, it's good to see how people think and process stuff, you know what I mean? It definitely helps you to create better programs to train players into some better skills, you know? Because I feel like once one of these Juanitos sees what I do, or what one of the other Liga A Juanitos does, they're going to understand, okay, this is what I have to do now. Because 10 shipments, man. 10 shipments. Yeah, Twan 21 from Pox. Absolutely. Absolutely. I did not think that you could hit this low in a tournament in Wars of Liberty like ever. I think even Day of the Ninja, who was arguably the worst Wars of Liberty player in history, still made a better deck than that. Because he at least had a deck, and he somehow survived for like 10 minutes as the Maori against Daedalus back in the WOL Jamboree days. So imagine stooping below Day of the Ninja levels in AoE 3 combat. That's very disturbing. Yeah. Alright, so Hamilton the play in theaters now is now playing as the Ottomans, and Ivan's is going as the Brazilians. Kind of an interesting pick, you know. I think Brazil is probably one of the more fun lamb civs to play. They're not necessarily a power hitter by any means, but you know they have a bit of a variety of options. So in general, to understand Brazil, you gotta sort of understand how they gain economy. So instead of training villagers the normal way, they actually have to purchase slaves through a big bun technology, which you see here, the slave trade. And for every slave trade that you do, it makes the next slave trade slightly more expensive in coin. And that's sort of the way that Brazil gets their economy. They also get this option too, called whipping the slaves. And by whipping your slaves, they lose hit points, but they gather slightly quicker by like 1%. And you can whip the slaves, I think, like 5 or 6 times. Leading to like, sort of like half of what economic theory does. But then again, your villagers are super weak and vulnerable. So yeah, try to be careful before delivering those lashes. Very careful. And you get another option too from the town center called abolition technologies. And with abolition technologies, you end up being able to slowly emancipate your slaves to becoming free citizens, while granting you additional bonuses by doing so. And to make things even more complicated, slave trades and abolition techs have another inverse effect on each other. The more slave trades you research from the town center as a big bun will make the big bun abolition techs more expensive, and therefore the abolition techs that you do at the town center with the big bun will make the big bun for the slave trades more expensive. And the thing is, oh yeah, one more thing. Eventually, once you go through all the abolition techs, eventually you can't do slave trades anymore, right? Eventually gets to the point that not only is it expensive, you can no longer do it anymore. As for the slave trades, you know, you can keep doing slave trades into infinity, but that's just gonna make your abolition techs that more expensive, and you're probably never gonna emancipate them, unfortunately. One more annoying thing, though, that I think is kind of obnoxious. Because slave trade and abolition are big buns, that means that you can't actually do 3 slave trades at the same time at different town centers. You kind of have to wait to do one at a time, which kind of prevents you from booming up too quickly, like I would want to do. So, I guess you kind of have to worry about that part of it. Now, let's check out his deck and see what he's got for a deck. So, he's got Furrier for hunting and berry bush gathering. I mean, this is probably a good card to have in your back pocket because, see, the slaves don't actually get any hunting upgrades from the market. They're all focused on agriculture, right? Because, you know, the market techs focus on mill gathering since they spend most of their days picking the con, right? So yeah, that's basically the way the economy works for the Brazil Civ. And also, deck-wise, if we go back here, we get the infinite slave shipment. I like to have this in my back pocket because I know I can only do 1 slave trade at a time. So having some being able to be shipped in for the home city is always a nice option. I like the variety of capital age shipments. You know, you get the Escoltas, which is an assault cavalry with multipliers against heavy infantry with its lance attack. The Cacadole Montado, this is another mounted skirmisher, similar to the Chaucer or Cheval. Conscriptos, these are just muskets, and then artisanal cans. So yeah, good variety of stuff. Let's see what Nameless is going for, though. Nameless. Hamilton. It's almost as if he literally left the game to go watch the Hamiltons play in New York City or something. Because where is his deck? It's like his deck literally left to go watch Hamilton. Where is it? Where is his deck? Where is the cards? I had a feeling he was going to do this again and it wasn't just a fluke. Like maybe sometimes somebody forgets to build a deck or something like, oh well, maybe I'm running out of time. I got the Chorizo Muy Largo yelling words in Juanito language for me to do it now, and I don't have time to make a deck, so I'm going to do it now. No, this Juanito Lily didn't build any decks at all. He's either really good, or he's, you know, he needs some serious, like, help. Help me. This is like a cry for help right now. Get me out of here and get me some help. I don't have any cards. Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, I understand, you know. Maybe somebody should teach this Juanito what a deck even is first and what a card is. Because I don't even think this Juanito even knows what tarjetas are in this game. Yeah, definitely work on that. He went up with the Aristocrat, which gives you some vacas and some aldinos, if that's how you say villager in Juanito language. He's going to put down a barracks, get some janissaries. I'm feeling a little bit better about him this game because he's at least working with something that he's probably more comfortable with. But oh no, we're in the same situation as last time. This time it's macheteros instead of hussars though. Even worse is these macheteros deal splash damage, you know, since, you know, they're assault, and assault units are supposed to be better against infantry. So yeah. Particularly heavy infantry, right? Because normally you think of heavy infantry as a hard counter to cav. The assault unit is supposed to be sort of like an exception to that rule, somewhat. Somewhat meaning technically heavy infantry counter assault still, but assault can counter them, and it's a complicated relationship, you know. Yeah. Takes a bit to learn though. Generally the one with the bigger numbers, whether it's the assault class or the line or heavy class, is going to beat the other one up. Yeah, I just don't know though, like... Yeah, I don't know. So, looks like... Does Ivan's already have a barracks? Or... Let me look at what Ivan's is doing now. Did he ship? Yeah, he actually shipped those in, so he hasn't even put his barracks down yet. Alright, so he's gonna put his barracks in center map. I mean, at this rate, that's probably the good way to go, since I really don't see this Juanito pulling off a whole lot here. I mean, he's gonna be queuing some Jans up. That's alright, but yeah, just go Voluntario de Patria, which is their weak, cheap skirmisher unit for Brazil, and I think you're all set. Don't really see anything else going on. Definitely not. Definitely not by a stretch. Yeah, we definitely gotta teach Nameless what tarjetas are exactly, so he can build a deck with them. Just imagine what would happen if he realized that he could actually ship in like gatherers, resources and stuff. He'd be like, oh wow, this is so awesome, man. So awesome. It's like taking a wild man from like been living in the woods for like 50 years and teaching him how to use a microwave. It's like, wow, I can do it in the touch of a button. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know though. Like, in this situation, the Janissaries are just going to be better overall because of the high HP. Yeah, they're just going to beat the Conscriptos. They're definitely going to beat off the Macheteros. So, right for this rare moment in time, Hamilton is doing some good work here, you know? Now, if you want to, as Simons, I would say go for an attack now because you got the better unit. You actually gain coin by sieging this redoubt as well as this barracks. You get coin from sieging with torches, so try to siege as much as you can as the Ottomans. And in fact, if you can siege a good amount, you could probably afford to take this detachment of villages off and put them onto the hunt. That could be pretty useful, you know, that could help you out quite a bit. Because since you don't believe in using cards, I guess, that's probably going to be the only way you're going to keep up macro-wise with a boomy civ like the Brazilians, right? And where is Brazil, by the way, in terms of slave count? Like, 18? Yeah. And then another slave trade is coming out. I'm going to pay attention to this. I'm just curious to see if Ivan sent the first abolition tech yet. Because basically what the first abolition tech does is it adds one more villager, one more slave to the slave trade. So normally you get like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 villagers per slave trade, and then it becomes 5 or 6 after that one. So I'm just curious to see if Ivan's believes in sending that one earlier or later, or if he sends it at all. Yeah. It does look like he also went with German immigrants as well. I do like how the German immigrants work for the Latin American civs. See, what they do is they actually get the German Masons, which look a lot like the settler wagons we're familiar with, right? But they don't gather that good, though, believe it or not. All they do though, is they have the same really quick building rate of the settler wagon. That's the only property they actually gain from them. As well as their good looks, though. Yeah. And basically what the German immigrant houses do is they have the ability to call Minutemen to them. For the Latin Americans, they're called firemen, you know, with actual helmets on. They don't fight fires, but they do fire on enemies with their guns, so they're actually creating fires, really. And they can siege buildings, of course, too, with the torch, so yeah, they can actually light actual fires as firemen and create actual fires. Even though they're supposed to be fighting the fires, but only if it's their fires. Otherwise, they're creating fires for their enemies. So, they really are firemen, I guess. So yeah, right now, like I said, Ivan's looking good with the Voluntario de Patria. Like a skirmisher, combine that with the Conscriptos. Good combination. Should be able to put a decent defensive line against these Jans. But be aware, Jans, again, high HP units. They're going to have an okay time dealing with this. He is going to retreat, though, which, yeah, I wouldn't have retreated. I would have just kept trying to duke it out at this point. Cav Archers. He's making a repeat of Juanito Walker here. Making Cav Archers at pure random times. Yeah. The one thing I will say, though, against a Latin American civ, Cav Archers are actually not the worst thing to have. Only because they counter Macheteros at range because they're an assault unit. So if you're going to be dealing with the Lamb Civ that loves to use Macheteros like Brazil or Peru or Colombia, Gran Colombia or Central America or whatever, adding some Cav Archers in can actually help you spray them down rather quickly. Only in that case. Like, yeah. Or if you can mass them up real quickly, because the other cool thing about Cav Archers, as you know, is both their hand armor and their fast rate of fire. They fire really quickly compared to, say, muskets, right? They can keep a constant contingent of arrows coming out. So if you can get a lot of Cav Archers and you can kite them really well, sometimes you can justify them, but it's kind of rare. Especially when you're dealing with Juanito land, right? When you're dealing with Juanita Bonita Ventana tag, and it's kind of hard to get that kind of micro going. But here comes the artisanal hands, though. At one deli, he's going to become meat at the delicatessen at this point because he's all alone and not going to stand a chance against this onslaught. One Janissary, without any help. Queuing up one. Well, this is mostly a macro problem. I mean, what should you expect, though? The man doesn't even have any cards, doesn't even have any crates to keep himself going. Normally with elements, the way you're supposed to play them is you're supposed to have like 4 to 5 crate shipments in H2, and then when you're able to get a trading post down, then you get greedy and get Silk Road to make the crates not only contain more resources, but the bounty of the stuff you get from the trade route itself to be better too. So it's supposed to be like a combo play. We didn't see him doing that here, so unfortunately, yeah, it just doesn't cut it. And therefore, leaves you in the shadows, you know. Yeah, let's always make sure we always have at least one deck before we play games to avoid this type sort of thing. And if you don't know what a deck is, you know, just look at a deck of cards and look at the AoE3 game and try to connect the dots. Yeah. Yeah, now the villagers are getting antsy and decide, hey, we're going to take the fight to them with our blunderbusses. Yeah, that's going to scare them. Oh yeah, a bunch of civilians with guns that really do nothing. They're actually stronger when you go into melee with them, so what they should be doing is taking their blunderbusses and trying to beat them in the head with them. That could knock out a couple of Voluntario Depatrios. But against the line and the Conscriptos, though, they won't have any of that. They'll just pour out their bayonets and start slicing and dicing. Really no effort. I like how he's training like one at a time, like almost like the Paraguayan 3-unit Q rate. Oh yeah, one at a time, that's gonna work perfectly. What did he... Your colony is under attack. Your colony is under attack. Your colony is under attack. What are you gonna do about it, son? That's a question. I know your colony is under attack. Yeah, this is actually a great finale to the whole week 1 of the Liga B, because this is exactly what we get to look forward to for this tournament. Like, this is the quality, this is the last but not least play of the day, is a Juanito without a deck. So this is going to be really fun to see what people do. You know, and let's see if, in particular, Hamilton and Mark learn anything from my commentaries and check out my channel and try to learn some stuff. Because I feel like if they do that, maybe they'll magically become ferocious Juanitos muy fuertes y bonitos and figure something out, you know? You never know. I mean, it's always good to give people a chance and see where they grow. But I don't even think it's even that. I mean, I just feel like these Juanitos are coming from their games like Warcraft or, you know, AoE 2 or whatever, and they just don't understand what the macro is. Because maybe in AoE 2 world, where there are no cards, you don't know what a deck is. But here, there's something called a home city, and you have to use it. Unless they're not going to use it. Sometimes I think there's some challenges out there in the DE community where they don't use decks or whatever, and they try to play it old school AoE style. But If your opponent isn't doing that and you're doing that, unless you're trying to be super tricky and prove how high your ELO is, it's usually not going to end well. So yeah. Where is the survivor, by the way? Let me hotkey through. Where is the survivor? Is anybody still living? Oh yeah, there's somebody running.
Selam.
That settler up there chopping trees. Peaceful lumberjack in northern Canada. Just minding his own business. Just trying to cut down a tree, get some wood. Just, you get hit in the face by a cannonball. That's gotta be the best job in the world. Well, actually, lumberjacking is like one of the most dangerous jobs in America. That and fishermen. So, even though you don't necessarily have to worry about a guy pulling up a medieval cannon and blasting you in the head with a cannonball, you can still die from a number of things like trees falling on you, wild animal attacks. You got a lot of stuff to look out for when you're a lumberjack. So I think we've chopped our last tree in terms of our last Liga match of the day. It was a very interesting variety of gameplay. We literally saw things we never thought we would see before in history in Liga B. Things we could, both highs and lows that we could never expect. I mean, this is pretty interesting, you know. I'm looking forward to it. You know, if they want to play out the rest of this tournament, I feel like we're going to get some interesting stuff, you know. I want to see some development in their macro and their economies. I want to see them make better unit choices. I want to see them make decks and make decks with all the cards in them. You know, if you're not going to bring a deck with like 20, 25 cards, you know, we got to work on that stuff. And I think after that, let's see if we can get some really long, drawn-out games with these Juanitos. They end in Great War Age or something. That's something I was hoping for at the start. Let's see if we can get some of those, you know. We want as many Great War Ages in this tournament as possible, I would say. That would be really, really good. Absolutely good. Yeah, definitely. Definitely really good. So, what do you think, people? There's hi, please. Make video how to build good decks, AoE 3D. Yeah, I could actually do that, yeah. What Civ would you want? I feel like it would be better to go Civ by Civ. Yeah, I would rather just go Civ by Civ. What Civ are you looking for? Do you want to learn British, French, Mexicans, Inca, Hausa, Ethiopia, Malta, Italy? What Civs are you looking for in a tutorial? Because I play a lot of Civs in DE, so in particular, I should be able to give you some good frameworks depending on what Civ you want. But I think the rule of thumb in AoE 3 is your 700 wood, your 700 coin in Age 2, your 1000 wood and 1000 coin in Age 3, 3 villagers in Age 1, factory wagons in Age 4, usually your heavy cannons in Age 4, any 2 Falconet card in Age 3 if you get that. There's a number of cards you always want to get. And then from there, it's based on what your build it's about. If you want to do a mercenary deck, put mercenaries in there. If you want to go with an artillery deck, maybe advanced artillery is something you want to go for. Maybe engineering school. You really have to play it around your strengths and what strengths of the Civ and strengths of you as a player and what you want to do. So, yeah, definitely. I could definitely come up with that at some point. I just would want to know what Civs people are most focused on the most, and I'll put together a little something. I think we'll hang out in the Home City deck view in DE, and I'll just go through the cards of each Civ and tell you when to use it or something like that. You know, like I did a bit with the Multis Civ, the Knights of St. John Civ preview in Age of the World. We could do that. That could be something fun. And I don't have to just go over DE Civs. I could go over Age of the World Civs, ones from other mods like the Canadian one and the Texas one. So really whatever you want, you know. It's whatever you're looking for. But anyways, I'm really glad everybody came today. We got to have a little bit of fun. Bit of easy going, simple casual matches, you know. Not a lot of back and forth and bashing and stuff. Just, basic things. And I'm definitely looking forward to teaching these Juanitos in the coming weeks how to play this game a little bit better. No matter what their struggles were, I think everybody can get to a better place by the end of this, and that's what I'm hoping for. So, thank you for coming. Always check out my channel for additional things. If this is your first time, try to sub to the channel so you can learn more stuff. From my casted games I do, from the gameplays I do, I got a lot of stuff to learn from. Probably an entire encyclopedia or two, so definitely come for that. I'm signing off now.